Chapter 176 ended easily. Sinjuli. Hyogabak gritted his teeth and shouted angrily. A female zombie with short blonde hair appeared instantly. Go. Defeat her. Hogback pointed at Mikasa in the dust and shouted. The next second, Sindri rushed directly towards the dust. But he was about to run into the dust. The shadow thorn that penetrated Absalom's body turned around. Sindri's abdomen was also pierced. Then, Absalom screamed. The shadow thorn was like a thorn, growing many extending thorns, piercing his internal organs. But Sinjuli didn't feel anything. Absalom, Sindri. Hogback gritted his teeth. The voice became a little sharp. What should we do next? Perona was extremely irritated. The dust cleared. Mikasa was seen holding Oz's foot with one hand. Then, the shield turned into a giant hand of shadow. He instantly grabbed Oz's thigh. What? How is this possible? Moria was stunned by this scene. The shadow needed by this huge hand cannot be formed by her shadow at all. Why can such a tiny shadow appear out of thin air with such a huge shadow hand? Moria was really dumbfounded. I saw. The terrifying power of shadow bursts out from Mikasa's body. Darkness enveloped her body. Mikasa, are you going to summon a mecha? Kongzan touched his chin and murmured with interest. Mecha? Yan seemed a little interested. Oh ho ho, really? Captain Mikasa's mecha? Sai's eyes were full of excitement. She had heard about mechas before. It's just that I have never really seen it. Are you going to see us today? It's been a long time since I've seen this. Robin smiled. Mikasa did use a mecha a long time ago. It seemed like he was practicing using mechas with Yamato and Hiyori. That time, it just made the people on the boat look stupid. After all, the 100-meter-long mecha is really spectacular. The same is true at this moment. I saw. The shadows around Mikasa gradually materialized. It turned into a dark mecha. The hand directly lifted Oz's feet up. Boom. Oz lost his balance and fell to the ground. Even the castle is falling apart. Then, the huge jet-black mecha stretched out its hand and directly grabbed Moria, who was sitting in the middle of Oz's belly. Arsehole. Moria, who had lost his arm, stared at the mecha fiercely. But that's what happened. There is really nothing we can do. Then, the opportunity is given to you. You deserve to die. Mikasa finished speaking. The palms of the mecha are filled with armed haki. Give it a firm grip. Moria's body exploded. Blood spurts out. Perona, who was watching from the side, covered her mouth with a look of horror on her face. Actually dead? Lord Moria. Perona was adopted by Moria since she was a child. Seeing Moria's death, he will naturally be sad. Then, tears were shed. Party A. Kongzan suddenly appeared behind him. Knock her out directly. Then hold him in his arms. What? When did you show up? Hyogabak was startled when he saw Kongzan appearing instantly. Now that Moria is dead, then the battle is over. If you say, just die. Kongzan didn't hesitate. He glanced briefly at Hogback. I saw the other party's body beginning to disappear quickly. Yan. Kongzan suddenly called out. Chief. Yan quickly appeared beside him. She has good abilities. Bring her to the ship. Then feed her this. You can control her. Kongzan took a bottle of blood and handed it to Yan and said, this is. Yan took the blood bottle. In fact, she knew it was blood, but she didn't understand why she was fed blood. Drink this, and you can obey my orders unconditionally. Kongzan didn't hide it either. Instead, he just said it. After all, even if Yan didn't drink, he still had to obey his orders. So is it this kind of thing? Yan swallowed, a little surprised. She had never heard of this kind of thing. Drinking blood. Will obey the leader's orders. At this time, Yan suddenly remembered. It seems that every new member has to drink Kongzan's blood. Cornis also drank it before. But why don't you use it yourself? There is only one reason. The leader must trust him very much. Yan's inner feelings. My heart suddenly felt a lot more enriched. All right. She's just thinking this. Then, Chief, I will take her to the women's dormitory first. Yan took Perona from Kongzan's arms and said, okay, go ahead. Kongzan nodded lightly. At the same time, because of Moria's death, the shadows all returned to their masters. The forest on the side. Sister Laura, my shadow is back. The thin man with the afro said excitedly. Mine too. Yes, mine too. A group of people whose shadows were taken away by Moria and trapped here. I was so excited that I shed tears at this moment. Yes, our shadow is back. We must thank them. Laura looked touched, and tears fell unconsciously. Let's go and see our great hero. The thin man with the afro was about to step forward, but he was immediately stopped by Laura. What's wrong, Sister Laura? The thin man with the afro asked in confusion. No, don't forget his identity. He is a great pirate who has killed countless people. Maybe he just saved us by the way. But without knowing his character, we don't act rashly. Otherwise, you may be killed together. Laura's face was serious, because she didn't know why Kongzan killed Moria. Does he have any purpose, this kind of big pirate? And killed Moria without even doing it himself. His subordinates are also powerful. At this level, they are almost the same as his own mother. His mother, Big Mum. But his mother is the Four Emperors. If the other party really has such strength, you must treat yourself with care. Best to avoid contact. What? That's what the elder sister said. You have to be careful. Everyone also understood what Laura meant. They don't want to die here as soon as they get the shadow. After leaving here, there is still a lot of time waiting for them. Let's take a look at the situation first. Everyone naturally unified their opinions. Kongzan was thinking about what kind of forces would be better to deploy here. After all, the terrifying three-masted sailing ship is known as the largest ship in the world. It would be such a waste to leave it like this. Might as well spend some points. Summon a force to station here. Wait until the war is over before calling them back. Isn't that more powerful? Chapter 177 Vampire, Krulru. The third city, Krulru Sepazi. This place seems to be suitable for vampires. Yes, then it's her. Kongzan murmured to himself. Vampire? Brother Kongzan, what are you talking about? Mikasa disintegrated the mecha at this time. Then he walked over and happened to hear Kongzan talking to himself, so he asked curiously. It's not a big deal. Next, I'll summon some vampire forces. Please help me manage this place. Kongzan waved his hand and spoke naturally. After all, he is only the third ancestor of the third city, Krulru. When other forces were summoned together, it felt like it was too much. I see. Vampire. Is it like a ghoul? Mikasa touched her chin and asked. She didn't know much about vampires. Ghoul. Ghoul eat people. Vampires only suck blood. It's different. Kongzan explained briefly. That's it. Vampires really suck blood. Mikasa seemed to have no knowledge about vampires, showing a surprised look. Xiao Mikasa, you have become stupid recently. Kongzan couldn't help but chuckle. He rubbed Mikasa's little head. What? I didn't. Mikasa quickly retorted in the next second. Okay, then I'll start. Everyone. Kongzan turned to remind everyone in the third division. Vampires? What an interesting race. Robin was very interested. She had seen vampire fruits in the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, but had never heard of such a race. Is it an extinct race? But why is the ability to exterminate races found in devil fruits? It's a bit scary to think about it carefully. Could it be that those fruits are abilities possessed by races that existed in the past? In fact, if you think about it, it's quite possible. Hey, vampire, it seems interesting. Chelsea also said with interest. There was still a lollipop in his mouth. Vampire. Is he some kind of scary guy? Raftalia felt a little uneasy. They should be Brother Kongzan's subordinates, right? Brother Kongzan has really many subordinates, Kia said thoughtfully. Because I came all the way. She had already watched Kongzan summon 3 forces. It feels really unfathomable. Even if it is as strong as the world government, it is difficult to be their opponent now. Then, let's get started. Kongzan waved his hand slightly. A huge magic circle appeared on the ground. Thousands of vampires emerged from the magic circle. It is estimated that there are 5,000 vampires. Let's see the leader. The leader, Krulru, and the other vampires knelt down. Just like that, he appeared in front of Kongzan. The surrounding environment has also become an environment where vampires live. The huge luxurious city enveloped the entire terrifying 3-masted ship. They had great respect for Kongzan, and every vampire has pointed ears, sharp fangs. This is the biggest difference with humans. Oh ho, what a cute little lily. Kongzan smiled and narrowed his eyes. Walked in front of Krulru. Looking at Krulru who was half kneeling, Kongzan squatted down and pinched her cheek. Soft, and this pink hair is also awesome. Chief. Do you have any questions? Facing Kongzan, who was as close as a stone's throw away, Krulru asked, seemingly at a loss. It's okay. Kongzan stood up. Look at the other vampire, especially 2 of the nobles, Crowley Asford and Farid Bartley. The strength is not weak either. But in the original work, he betrayed Krulru. You must assist Krulru. Otherwise, you should understand the consequences, right? Kongzan narrowed his eyes and asked, just in case, get a vaccination. We will definitely assist the third ancestor, Lord Krul, to help complete the leader's order. Their tone was full of solemnity. In fact, Kongzan also knew it. Fred Bartley and Crowley Asford have now pledged their allegiance to their own memories. It's just that the original work impressed him too deeply. Seeing Kongzan help him demonstrate, Krulru was also inexplicably happy in his heart. Looking at Kongzan, she couldn't help but smile. The entire terrifying 3-masted sailboat has also changed a lot at this moment. More castles appeared around. There are also various types of housing. Then I'll leave it to you. Seeing that the nearby buildings have also taken shape. Don't worry, Krulru said confidently. Then we'll leave first. Kongzan nodded lightly. In fact, the purpose of his coming was to occupy the largest ship in the world. After all, there is such a good thing. How can I not accept it? Kongzan turned and left. Let's go. Kongzan gestured to the third team on the side. This is worthy of being the boss. To have so many people obey orders. It was the first time that Kia saw Kongzan's call at such a close range. You can't help but be amazed when you see it. How did they summon them? The surrounding environment has also changed. It's really amazing. Liu looked around. It seems that the surroundings are not as eerie as before. Instead, it feels a bit noble, full of aristocratic atmosphere. Brother Kongzan is such a powerful and mysterious man. This kind of summoning method, I have never seen it before. Robin sighed inwardly. The girls had different thoughts. Xiaoling, send us aboard. The ship is now in the sky. Kongzan chose to call Xiaoling. Be more convenient. Then, I saw a flash of white light. Everyone disappeared here. After watching Kongzan leave, only then did all the vampires stand up. Next, let's start with the distribution. After Kongzan left, Krulru transformed into a queen. After all, she is one of the rulers of vampires herself. Looking at all the vampires, she started to distribute. Forest. Hey, are those really vampires? Let's run away. Sister Laura, the thin man with an afro, said quickly. Yes, those guys are outnumbered, and they all look powerful. What the hell is a vampire? Isn't this nonsense? They must be vampires. Everyone started making noises. Shut up, Laura shouted immediately, looked at everyone, and said, let's go. We have to leave now. We can't be discovered by them. Laura's eyes were solemn. Unexpectedly, so many vampires were summoned on the island at once. She was a little nervous. As soon as one wave goes away, another wave arises. Impressed, Laura's heart was actually about to explode. Chapter 178. The Straw Hats and the Beasts. Kongzan returned to the boat. Brother Kongzan, leave quickly. This place is so annoying. Full of smog. Shinobu seemed to dislike the environment here. He walked up to Kongzan, took his hand and complained with an unhappy look on his face. Feeling Butterfly Shinobu's soft little hands and showing that aggrieved look, Kongzan rubbed her head. Okay, got it. He chuckled, because the neighborhood is indeed gloomy. It's really hard to get used to coming here. See this scene? Mikasa puffed her lips jealously again. Xiaoling, let's go to Daughter's Island. It's almost time, just in time to meet Hancock. Kongzan said bluntly. Locate, Girl Island. Start navigation. Xiaoling immediately started. Not just tolerance. Nami, no Kagao, Michuri. They didn't like this place very much, so they didn't want to stay here soon. After all, it's really nothing interesting. Maybe Takatsuki Izumi and the other ghouls are a little interested in this place. It seems that they also want to study whether zombies can be eaten. East China Sea. The Wandering Straw Hats. They were originally going to Rotown, but when they met a Death Knight, they were beaten back directly. It was truly a close call. Thinking about it makes me a little scared. Hey, Luffy, that guy is really too strong, Zoro said. Even now, he was still a little scared. At that time, the knife went down. It couldn't hurt the Death Knight at all. 2 of his own knives were cut off. I almost died there. Ugh, I'm so angry. Luffy's face was filled with displeasure. I feel like I've been very unlucky lately. Those things are mysterious monsters after all, Sanji said through gritted teeth after blowing out a smoke ring. The knife directly cut off a large piece of the Mealy's hull. Fortunately, the cut was from the top. If the lower part is cut, the boat will leak and it will be impossible to move. The repair work was naturally done by Usopp. After all, there is no one else on board who can do it for the time being. We've only been at sea for a few days, and the ship is like this. Really? Usopp also complained. He was still holding wooden planks in his hand to mend the ship's railing. At this time, Usopp just raised his head. I saw a ship coming from not far away. Luffy, there seems to be a ship ahead, Usopp shouted looking at the ship. The 3 main players of the Straw Hats all came over. Is that a pirate flag? Sanji looked at the flag on the ship and recognized it. Let's go up and fight. By the way, let me know how to enter the Grand Line. Sauron shouldered the knife. In a bad mood, he wanted to fight. Oh ho ho, Usopp, drive the ship over. Luffy was also furious. I need to find someone to vent to. Yes, maybe other pirates know how to get to the Grand Line. Johnny also nodded. That's what I say. But it's dangerous, Joseph said, stroking his chin. I said it. Send the ship over. Luffy shouted again. Okay. Seeing Luffy's solemn expression, Usopp responded quickly. He directly controlled the rudder and headed towards the big pirate ship opposite. The beast pirate ship. Mr. Kaido. Your hands. Jin gritted his teeth, somewhat hating that he couldn't help. Kaido touched his lost right arm. He also smiled bitterly. This time, I didn't expect to encounter an enemy who was so agile, and he could easily break through my defense. I was the one who got it wrong. Kaido sighed. In fact, he has not exerted his full strength yet. But the opponent's swift movements, cutting off his own arm, really frightened Kaido. He instantly changed from a dragon to an ant. Quinn and Jack are both. Jin clenched his fist hard. They suffered great losses in this battle. It is very likely that he will fall directly from the altar of the 4 emperors. Liu Fei's plan needs to be sped up. Kaido also said, the current Luffy cells have not yet been established. To be precise, there are not enough people. Mr. Kaido, there is a pirate ship coming this way. A boy ran over and said, pirates? What kind of pirates are there in the East China Sea that can offend labor? Kaido became irritated. He picked up Bar's AG, the mace beside him, and walked up, looking at the pirate ship not far away. It's much smaller than Kaido's pirate ship. Which little pirate group is this? Kaido raised his eyebrows. Then, click, a hand extended from the ship. Luffy, you bastard. I saw a boy with a red straw hat flying over with 3 people following his arms. Those 3 people, of course they are Zoro, Sanji and Usopp. Bang. The 3 of them landed directly on Kaido's boat. That's it. Luffy laughed. He was the first to stand up, looking very lively. Then, a group of pirates on the ship surrounded them. It hurts. Usopp covered his head. Sanji and Zoro also stood up. What a bastard. Luffy. Zoro took out his only remaining words of peace. Look at the pirates around. We really came to a good place. Sanji stood up and didn't forget to light a cigarette. Started smoking. Huh. He breathed out. But next, Kaido came over with Jin. So big. The two of them were much taller than the surrounding pirates. Sanji was immediately stunned. Is this a giant? Usopp quickly hid behind Zoro. My feet were still shaking. It's really huge. It's bigger than that black skeleton. Zoro suddenly felt that he was in trouble again. Scalp numbness. I've been really unlucky lately. Straw hat? It looks a bit like that brat from Shanks. Kaido frowned and looked at the straw hat on Luffy's head. Black skeleton? Did you go to Rotown too? Jin also asked curiously. Oh? Did you go too? After talking about this, Zoro also became interested. You guys are so brave. You must be pretty capable if you can come out of there alive. Kaido laughed. By the way, do you know Shanks? Luffy just heard Kaido talking about Shanks. He asked quickly. Shanks? By the way, what does that kid have to do with you? He actually gave you the straw hat? That's really interesting. Kaido seemed to have found the fun and let out a weird laugh. Voice. Shanks. This is my agreement with Shanks. Luffy took off his hat, looked at it, and smiled knowingly. Boy, are you interested in joining our pirate group? Kaido started poaching people directly. Oh? Mr. Kaido is actually interested in poaching people. Boy, please agree. There won't be such a chance next time. The pirate boys next to him also started to boo, but Luffy was very straightforward. I reject. Chapter 179 Luffy vs. Kaido. I refuse. Luffy's voice was simple, although not loud, but it reached everyone's ears. The people around suddenly fell silent. Gulu. Usopp swallowed as he looked at the scene that changed so quickly. Somewhat scary. Kaido laughed again, then looked at Jin and said, catch them. Jin pulled out the long knife from his waist and said, no problem. Zoron. Usopp tightened his grip. Let me go, idiot. Zoro cursed. Hey, I said your arm was chopped off in Rotown too, Sanji said suddenly. Among this group of people, he can still turn his head. Kaido wanted to leave. Hearing this, he turned his head slightly. So what? Kaido asked. According to your size, we saw a huge guy with horns before. He must be on your ship too. That guy should have arrived in Rotown before you. He was beaten to death by an old man. Shanzizi said. You said it should be Jack. So you look down on us? Kaido's heavy voice suddenly came. It sent shivers down their bodies. Hey, don't you recognize it yet? The person standing in front of you is the Yonko Kaido. A young pirate boy couldn't stand it anymore. Drink directly. Yonko Kaido? What is that? Luffy scratched his head, having never heard of it at all. Hey, all the boys were dumbfounded. Even Jin opened his mouth slightly in surprise. There are still people who don't know their Yonko Kaido. I don't know either. So what is that? Zoro also asked. Hey. The younger brother was surprised again. Jin was speechless. The four emperors. They are the four emperors of the sea, and Mr. Kaido is one of them. Jin explained. The Emperor of the Sea? Does it have anything to do with the Pirate King? Luffy picked his nostrils with his little finger, then flicked it casually. It almost bounced onto Usopp, thanks to Usopp's quick dodge. Luffy, stop flicking your nose. Usopp cursed and complained. Sorry, Luffy said calmly. Kid, so you want to become the Pirate King? Kaido turned around and walked forward slowly. The younger brothers quickly made way for Kaido. Kaido just walked up to Luffy. Yes. How do you know, Uncle? One Piece. I'm determined to be the Pirate King, Luffy said seriously. The one who wants to be the Pirate King is Mr. Kaido. Jin immediately retorted. Interesting, kid. If you want to be the Pirate King, beat me first. Kaido shouted directly. The voice was very rough. At the same time, he raised the mace in his hand. If you don't defeat the four emperors, become the Pirate King. You are just wishful thinking. Kaido held the mace in his left hand and pointed it directly at Luffy. Oh, if you want to become the Pirate King, you have to defeat the four emperors. Then come on, Luffy shouted, face full of fighting spirit. But when he saw that Kaido only had one arm, he asked with a serious face, by the way, your arm is gone, otherwise I will give you another hand. These words immediately shocked the pirate boys around him. Got it. All the pirate boys shouted in surprise in unison. I was so scared that my eyes and tongue were about to pop out. Are you looking down on me to deal with a brat like you? One hand is more than enough, Kaido said angrily. Huh? More than enough? It's more than enough for me to deal with you. Luffy gritted his teeth and became angry. What? You bastard. Just like this, the old man and the young man started fighting. I'm so angry. Then be careful. Rubber jet rocket launcher. Luffy's hands stretched back in an instant. Call Kaido directly. Bang. It hit Kaido. The next scene shocked them. How is it possible? Zoro said with a shocked look on his face. Hey, Luffy. Are you trying too hard? The cigarette fell from Sanji's mouth. How could? Luffy had already retracted his hands. Kaido in front of him seemed to have no feeling at all. It doesn't hurt or itch, kid. Let me tell you. What is the Yonko? Thunder gossip. Kaido drank. The terrifying overlord color gathered on the mace. Moment. Kaido appears in front of Luffy. A stick hit him directly on the head. Boom. This stick directly smashed through the deck. Is this the four emperors? Zoro was stunned. There was even some trembling on the body. There are really too many monsters encountered recently. To be honest, he was already a little numb. Luffy. The three of them shouted quickly. Sanji jumped directly. And Luffy at this moment. He was smashed directly to the bottom of the pirate ship. His blood flowed and he fainted. Seeing Sanji go down, the two of them felt a little relieved. Gulu. Usopp swallowed. Hey. Did a man like you really lose his arm in Raw Town? Zoro suddenly asked. I felt a little scared. Oh, it seems that you are really lucky to be able to come out of Raw Town. La, Kaido laughed, and then said with a serious face, you guys, just let's get to those black skeletons. I didn't meet anyone stronger. You're really lucky. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be able to swing the sword. Kaido grinned. Gulu. Zoro swallowed. To hear such a strong man say such words, Zoro also realized that they were indeed lucky. And the man we are facing now is also a true emperor of the sea. Only with this kind of strength can one be called an emperor. But being able to cut off this kind of man's arm. How terrifying is that? Could it be that man? Hey. Did it mean that the one who cut you was Hawkeye? Sauron suddenly asked. Because Hawkeye Mahawk was indeed in the East China Sea some time ago. So he didn't rule out this option. Hawkeye. That man can't cut off my arm. Kaido laughed wildly. And then continued. Although I don't need to tell you so many things. It doesn't matter, let's talk about it today. Kaido sat directly on the ground. There was a clang sound. The guy who cut off my arm, he doesn't look like a human being. Where to start? Have you ever heard of the Lord of the Dead Realm? Kongzan? Kaido suddenly asked. Kongzan? Are you talking about that man? Usopp's eyes widened. He still remembers it now. When I was in Xiliwabu village, the women put the blades on their necks. What they said was exactly, don't hurt Kongzan. Yes. It's Kongzan. He remembers it clearly, including the fear that brought him at that time. Chapter 180 Kaido's narration. Usopp, do you know? Zoro frowned. Kaido also looked at Usopp with curiosity. I didn't expect that anyone actually knew him. That man. That's the captain of the woman who dueled you in Coco West Village. If that's right, Usopp said immediately. What? Is it that man? It's really unfathomable. Did that man chop off your arm too? Zoro asked with serious eyes. Seems to be looking for answers. No. Kaido pondered for a moment and continued. Everyone in Raw Town is also his subordinates, and they are all loyal. My arm was damaged by someone in Raw Town. The guy in blue armor from Raw Town chopped it off. The blade was extremely sharp. My arm was cut off with just one knife. Kaido himself couldn't believe it. Cut off the arm with one strike of the blade. Isn't it normal? Zoro was a little confused. In front of Kaido, this guy is like a little kid. Boy. The person standing in front of you is the Yonko Kaido. Kaido, known as the strongest creature in the sea, land and air. Even if he fell from an altitude of 10,000 meters, Mr. Kaido was unscathed. But he was actually killed. Cut it off with one sword. Do you understand the concept of this? Even the Hawkeye Mahawk you just mentioned, it is impossible to cut off Mr. Kaido's arm with one sword. And you may not be able to defeat him in a one-on-one fight. Mr. Kaido, looking at the ignorant guy in front of him, Jin explained directly. What? The strongest creature on land, sea, and air. Usopp was almost frightened. It looked like his soul was about to come out. Fall from an altitude of 10,000 meters. Unscathed. Is this the Yonko? Zoro also looked surprised, with cold sweat dripping from his body. The kid from Donghai is really interesting. Ignorantly cute. Kaido laughed, then turned around and continued. Speaking of this kid Kongzan, I'm serious, I don't understand how he became so strong. He appeared in Wano 20 years ago. I beat him to a pulp and could recover. What a terrible guy. Lock him to hell. It has been in the stone cave for 2.5 years, but according to the guards, it has not aged at all. Even the latest bounty looks like this. Kaido said. Kongzan's bounty was placed in front of Usopp and Zoro. There are so many zeros. Usopp was dumbfounded. Zoro had already started counting zeros. 1, 2, 3. This is 4 billion bli. Sauron looked at the reward order in astonishment. Obviously this man looks so young. There is actually a huge and terrifying reward. Then there is my son, Yamato. He was abducted by this brat. I came here to find this boy just to find my son. I didn't expect that he didn't see him. One arm is missing. What a bastard. Kaido yelled angrily. At the same time, Yamato's reward order was also released. 1.97 billion. Usopp also exclaimed. Yes, Yamato's bounty has been raised to 1.97 billion. Precisely. Basically all members of the Dragon Slayer pirates known to the world government have had their bounties increased. This is a woman. I think I've seen her before. While fighting the female swordsman named Kaitong, Zoro suddenly remembered. And he must have seen it. TSK. My good son was actually raised as a daughter by that guy. It's really unpleasant. Kaido curled his lips. No. This thing is natural. Usopp waved his hand and complained. And this, the latest bounty order issued by the world government. Kaido took out 3 bounty orders. Blue Carapace, 3.5 billion. Gentleman, old man, 1.8 billion. Demiurge, 2 billion. The first two are probably the Navy who didn't know the names and replaced them with code names. Kaido will offer a reward. Place the order on the ground. Push it over and show it to the two of you. This is the bounty that the Navy issued after we fought in Rotown. It seems that the Navy still has spies around, Kaido said after a little analysis. What a terrifying bounty. Are these people all that man's men? Zoro was a little dazed. He suddenly felt that his goal was somewhat out of reach, because a swordsman more powerful than Hawkeye appeared. He's just a subordinate of that man. Unbelievable. That's right. And the black skeletons you encountered when we fought against the beast pirates. There were at least 100 of them. If you can't even defeat one of them, let alone talking about these scary guys. Kaido looked at him and seemed to say something profound. 100? That kind of scary guy. Usopp was extremely scared. At that time, he was guarding the ship well, but the three of them directly lured the damn skeleton over. Thinking of that moment, even Zoro felt fear in his heart. Really? Is there still so much left? Zoro gritted his teeth. Okay, that's all that needs to be said. You just cooperate with me to return to Wano country. The rabbit bowl is still short of manpower. After Kaido finished speaking, he waved his hand. Usopp and Zoro no longer resisted at this moment, because they already know the gap. That unbridgeable gap. It's because they are too weak. A group of pirates tied them up with sea-stone handcuffs. Then Kaido turned his head, looked at the merry ship not far away, and said, Jin, there must be people on the ship. Catch them all. Take them away with the ship, Kaido ordered. Got up. Understood, Mr. Kaido. Jin nodded. Spreading his wings, he flew directly towards the merry. And at this moment, the sword master and sword god on the melee are still rushing over. Hey, Johnny, there seems to be a black bird flying over there. Joseph looked at the black thing flying not far away. He squinted his eyes because he couldn't see clearly. It seems. Wait, what the hell? So big. A few days later. Daughter Island. Because Boy Hancock drank Kongzan's blood before. Kongzan can talk to his thoughts. When he was preparing to go to Daughter Island, Kongzan told Hancock. And since Boy Hancock received the conversation with Kongzan's thoughts, she has also been waiting not far from the coast, along with her members of the Nine Snakes pirates and some of the island's female warriors. Lord Snake, who are we waiting for? Is it the Navy? Margarita, a girl with short blonde hair, asked. She seemed to have never seen Master Shiji looking so serious. I've even been waiting here for a few days. Never went back. Because of Hancock's status as a Shikibukai, she subconsciously thought of the Navy. But even if it was the Navy, she shouldn't let Lady Snake Princess wait for so long. Moreover, Lady Snake Princess is still so solemn. He is a powerful and fascinating man, Hancock said. She held the reward warrant in her hand. The man above is Kongzan. 4 billion bli. Didn't you expect that this man would reach this level after only spending a few hours at sea? But for such a powerful man, only this kind of bounty can be worthy of him. Hancock thought to himself. Chapter 181. Daughter Island. Not far from Daughter's Island, two flying ships flew forward. This is flying ship. Avandra looked surprised. She is very tall, with the average height only reaching her thighs. She wears a round-brimmed hat with the Nine Snakes logo on her head. Sister, it seems Lord Kongzan has arrived. Boya Sandason said. She has green hair. Indeed. Now that Master Kongzan is here, sister can feel at ease. Boya Marigold also breathed a sigh of relief. After all, Hancock has been thinking about the sky day and night these past few years. The two of them know best. Finally, are you finally willing to come back to find me as a concubine? Hancock couldn't help but shed tears. She wiped away her tears and quickly gave instructions to the female warriors behind her. Quick, go prepare the food. Bring out all the best food. The master is here today. We must choose the best ingredients. Hancock turned to the female warriors and shouted. His face was full of solemnity. Yes, Lady Shiji. After receiving the order, they immediately began to execute it. He quickly ran to the city. Hey, is this Daughter Island? Yamato looked surprised. Yes, we saved 3 little girls here more than 10 years ago. He should be the emperor of this country now. It will be a lot easier here, Kongzan said and stretched lazily. A lazy person. Hey, are they those 3 sisters? Seko was still impressed. Isn't it the slave they rescued from the auction that Kongzan was talking about? It's been so many years. I wonder what they look like now. Kana also sighed with emotion. Since he is the emperor, he must have become very powerful. Li Shi touched his chin. Also very interested. Almost. We're almost there. Let's get ready for landing. Kongzan turned his head slightly. He looked at everyone. Okay. The girls also shouted in unison. The boat is coming down, sister. The 2 sisters behind Hancock were a little excited. After all, this is also their benefactor. Haven't seen each other for more than 10 years. Yeah, finally I can see him again. Hancock's heart was surging. A blush appeared on his face. She looked forward to meeting him again. After so many years, she has now become the emperor and is still a Shikibukai. I can finally see that man. I saw a huge ship falling rapidly from the sky. The falling ship created a huge draft. Let Hancock's hair fly. Then, Kongzan walked off the boat. There were also other girls behind him. Not far away, Hancock's face was filled with emotion. I couldn't help but shed tears. Shwa. A moment. He rushed directly in front of Kongzan. Lord Kongzan, it's really you. After so many years, I can finally see you again, Hancock said excitedly with a red face. The heart beats even faster. His hands also looked a little overwhelmed. Kongzan scratched his head. I didn't expect Hancock to be so enthusiastic. Long time no see, Hancock. Kongzan smiled and said hello. Lord Kongzan, long time no see. In front of Kongzan, the dignified pirate empress is like a little woman. He spoke carefully. Oh, why are you so nervous? I wasn't like this when I rescued you more than 10 years ago. Look, you're so tall now. You must be 1.9 meters tall. Kongzan smiled gently. Just like an old father. Everything is thanks to Lord Kongzan. If you hadn't saved us in the first place, perhaps we would still be slaves of the celestial dragons today. Hancock could not imagine the horrific life he would have experienced at that time. Yes, thanks to you. Sandathonia and Marigold behind Hancock also said. And the two women also looked respectful. They were the original three sisters. In a sudden transformation, everyone is taller than me. He is obviously only over 1.8 meters tall, that's all. It's all small things. Hey, long time no see. The person who spoke was Yamato. The first team went there with Kongzan at that time, so facing them is quite familiar. You are that person at that time. Yamato. Hancock was also very surprised. Then he called out her name. She has been paying attention to the other party's wanted poster. Thank you for remembering me. Hee. Yamato laughed. Me. Kana also jumped out. My name is Kana. And that purple-haired sister hasn't changed at all. My name is Seko, right? And that Rise who is called a ghoul. Hancock 1 reported it. Over the years, she had kept all the wanted posters for the Dragon Slayer pirates in her dormitory. How could you not recognize it? My memory is really good. But we still have many members of the Dragon Slayer pirates. Is there a place to sit down and let's talk about it in detail? Kongzan said and called to the city to have a look. Okay, then let's go to the city. I have prepared a sumptuous meal. I'm just waiting for you to come. Hancock laughed. But Kongzan was surrounded by beautiful crew members. There was a hint of jealousy in my heart. That's all. Everyone walked towards the city. The largest restaurant on the island where the banquet is scheduled. It's vast inside. Not just the Dragon Slayer pirates. Members of the Kuja pirates were also inside. Tables that are dozens of meters long, and the dishes were served one after another. A wide variety of varieties. Kongzan sat next to Hancock. Lord Kongzan, what have you been doing all these years? There has been no news from you. I have taken the 9 Snakes pirates out to sea several times to look for me. I am very worried. Hancock leaned towards Kongzan with a serious look. Kongzan looked at Hancock who was only 5 centimeters away from his cheek. I'm sorry. I've been training them all these years. They only came out recently. Kongzan showed an embarrassed look. Hancock was very happy inside. Lord Kongzan is actually explaining the reason to me. Could it be that the husband is protecting the relationship between his wife and himself? Sure enough. Master Kongzan still has me in his heart. She was secretly happy. I have often dreamed of Lord Kongzan these years. Since you saved us, you have disappeared. It really makes me worried. I tossed and turned at night, unable to sleep or eat well. It has been more than 10 years before I heard from you. It's really surprising. Hancock was extremely nervous when he spoke. It seems that he wants to express his feelings. Kongzan didn't expect that his absence for so long would make Hancock feel so uncomfortable. Chapter 182, Opening of the Banquet. Not far away, Mikasa watched Kongzan chatting animatedly with Hancock. The gnashing of teeth began again. That dark aura kept leaking out. Okay Mikasa, don't be so stingy, Yari said, piercing a piece of meat with a fork and stuffing it into Mikasa's mouth. Brother Kongzan is so powerful after all. It's normal for him to be admired by others. Yari was very open-minded. He was eating slowly in his mouth. Mikasa chewed the meat in her mouth subconsciously. It's delicious. Mikasa suddenly sighed. To entertain us. It seems like they brought out all the best ingredients in the country. This also shows her respect for Brother Kongzan. It won't hurt Brother Kongzan, and you can still eat good food. What's wrong? Yari said with a downbeat look on her face. But I'm just not happy. Mikasa lowered her head. She didn't even understand why. Oops. Mikasa, if you are too stingy, what if you are disliked by Lord Kongzan? Look at Sister Seko, she is Brother Kongzan's girlfriend, and she didn't even say anything. Yari as he spoke, he looked at Seko on the side. As for Seko, he's already used to it. It would be annoying to death if you had to worry about which woman Kongzan was with every day. But Mikasa didn't know what to say. but my heart will be sour. Seko also noticed that they were looking at her, and then walked over. He sat next to Mikasa. Isn't Mikasa happy? Seko smiled and rubbed her head. After all, she is the legitimate girlfriend recognized by Kongzan. He is also considered the master of the harem. Everyone's emotions must be taken into consideration. No, Mikasa shook her head, showed a forced smile. Stop being so brave, can't I see it? Seko sighed. Just from Mikasa's smile, she could tell that Mikasa was definitely unhappy. Mikasa's unhappiness is mostly because of Kongzan. It's not the same in Seko's heart. But now, it doesn't matter. Mikasa, do you want to be the special person in Kongzan's heart? Seko narrowed her eyes and asked. Huh? Special person? Mikasa seemed a little curious. It's just, no matter how many people come in the future, they can't replace your special position in Kongzan's heart. Seko explained again. Can you? I want to be that special person. Mikasa seemed to look at Seko with some expectation. Then you have to take the initiative to do something to make Kongzan happy. Let him remember you well. Looking at Mikasa looking cute, Seko narrowed her eyes, covered her mouth and laughed. What makes Brother Kongzan happy? What else makes Brother Kongzan happy? Mikasa pondered. For example, push Kongzan's shoulders more often. Find more reasons to help him do things. Something like that. Xiangtsai thought for a while and said, that's it. Yeah, I understand, Sister Seko. Mikasa nodded lightly, a serious look on his face. As expected of Sister Seko, Yari complained silently. For Seko, Mikasa is still easy to coax. After all, every time Mikasa gets jealous, Seko is the one who coaxes her into doing so. She was obviously quite helpless. But there's nothing we can do about it. As for Kongzan, I just chatted with Hancock normally. Then open the group chat again. Kongzan, picture, various dishes at the banquet. Izumi Shinichi, boss, I'm so greedy to serve something like this late at night. Kanki Ken, decisively use points to buy something to eat. Iwatani Naofumi, +1. Mano Shiho, I'm so greedy, I'll buy some too. Kongzan, good guy, you don't want to have dinner? Mano Shiho, it's not even night yet. Kanki Ken, I'm a little busy today. A bunch of corpses appeared out of nowhere. Brother Naofumi and I are cleaning them up. Iwatani Naofumi, I thought it was almost solved. Naofumi Iwatani, as a result, another wave of corpse brothers appeared. I was really drunk. Kongzan touched his chin. It seems that Brother Corpse's world is not that simple. That's right. After all, it's a world with funny paintings. Kongzan, so how are you doing now? Kanki Ken, no problem. It's just that the number is a bit large, and Kanki Ken, I feel that Long Yu might not die so easily. Naofumi Iwatani, indeed, when I first fought with Long Yu, I felt that this person was not that simple. Naofumi Iwatani, even if I cut off his head, how could he still be alive? Baixiofai, that, I have a point. Baixiofai, don't you think his body decomposed too quickly at that time? Kanki Ken, if you say that. It's true. Kanki Ken, after cutting off his head, his body and head instantly withered and rotted, as if they withered quickly. Naofumi Iwatani, put it this way. It's indeed strange, but if you cut off your head, you can't still die, right? Iwatani Naofumi, otherwise, how can I kill him? Kongzan, it's possible that he's not dead yet. He just had his head cut off. In this case, it's not necessarily that he can be resurrected. Iwatani Naofumi, real or fake? Boss, don't fool me. Iwatani Naofumi was immediately dumbfounded. But when these words came from Kongzan's mouth, he had to think about it. Kongzan, why did I fool you? Kongzan, some creatures can be resurrected as long as they have living cells. Kanki Ken, ridiculous. Kongzan, it's so outrageous. Baixiofai, frog, how can I kill him? If this is true, wouldn't Long Yu even die? Baixiofai was numb. How could he kill such an enemy? It's so hard to kill. Kongzan, I am referring to some creatures. I don't know about Long Yu. Kongzan, if Long Yu is really resurrected, you can try to kill all the cells in Long Yu and see if he can be resurrected. Baixiofai, killing all cells. Is it so troublesome? Kanki Ken, if this method works, then it's no problem. I can try it. As for this, Kanki Ken can still do it. Iwatani Naofumi, don't think about it so much. Besides, the situation is still unclear, and the source of this zombie wave is not yet clear. Kanki Ken, that's right. Baixiofai, then we have to figure out the situation this time first. Baixiofai, if that guy Long Yu is really okay, then think of a way. Baixiofai, after all, that guy has lived for thousands of years and has not died. Moreover, Long Yu also said that he knew my ancestors. It is really outrageous that things are getting more and more outrageous day by day. Kanki Ken, ha ha ha, brother, you were looked down upon at the time. Naofumi Iwatani, it seems to say. You are not as good as your ancestors, and your ancestors were still generals who were able to stop thousands of others. Baixiofai, I'm so angry. If Long Yu hadn't died, I would have killed him with my own hands. Kanki Ken, okay, I'll watch the show. Iwatani Naofumi, +1. Baixiofai, dash. Chapter 183 Obsessed Hancock. Although there was chatting and laughing in the group, but everyone around me was eating very formally. The occasion feels a bit serious, Hancock. How about I ask my crew to sing a song? The atmosphere here is a bit tense. Sing a song to relax. Kongzan looked at Hancock and asked. Of course. Since you are on Daughter's Island, you are the king here. I am at your disposal. Hancock did not shirk at all. The words were full of respect. In his heart, Kongzan lamented Hancock's loyalty to him. Okay, let's sing a song. Chi, Yeri and Corners. Please join in the accompaniment. Kongzan looked at the three of them and smiled. Do you want to sing? Then that one. After Chi came to the pirate group, he sang frequently. I heard what Yuki said, and Yeri and Corners understood instantly. Huh. Chi stood up. Put your hand on your chest. The blooming flower of the wilderness. Please tell me, why do people hurt each other, so that there will be constant disputes? The long, melodious voice of nature spread throughout the audience. Wearing a goldfish suit with long light pink hair and red eyes, Kuri looked like a heroine. The female warriors in the entire field couldn't help but look at her. She began to move. A flower blooming majestically. What can I see from you? Why do people even forgive each other? Can't do that. That's it. As Chi moved around, everyone turned their attention to her. It seemed like, wherever she went, that was the center of the banquet. The perfect voice makes them fall in love. Is this Utopi? Kongzan murmured. This was one of his favorite songs from a previous life. I heard them practicing on the ship recently. This is also the reason why he has been sleeping well recently. Sure enough, just playing music is not enough. There must be professional singers. This prayer is not in vain. Kongzan thought to himself. The corners of his mouth raised slightly. Kongzan silently turned on the video recording function of the group chat. Souvenir. Just like that, time passed by. Hancock also prepared rooms for everyone. After everyone finished eating, they returned to their bedrooms. At this moment, Hancock's dormitory. Snake Princess, I know they are your benefactors, but do you really want to keep them? You are the Shikibukai now, and they are enemies of the world government. Not only we robbed Rotown, forced the king of Alabasta out of a government-affiliated country, and occupied Alabasta. The rewards for all of them exceed 10 billion. If the world government knew about it, wouldn't we? The speaker was a short old man with white hair. Her face was solemn, and Hancock said seriously. That's enough. Granny knew. He is my benefactor. No matter how long he has to be here, I will always rely on him. Hancock said, while his face turned rosy for a moment, and then continued. Man said seriously, and no matter what he does, I will support him. It's just the world government. The so-called title of Shikibukai. Don't forget it. Her tone was full of arrogance. Shiji, you have to think about our 9 snakes. If there is no protection from the Navy, then we will definitely be wiped out. The government will also send people to clean up Daughter Island. Granny New wiped her forehead. He was sweating and said with great difficulty. But Hancock shook his long black hair indifferently. No matter what I do wrong, I will be forgiven by the whole world, because I am so beautiful, she said casually. But Granny New seemed to want to say something else. That's enough. No one can stop my thoughts. What Lord Kongzan wishes is what I want. Hancock frowned. His face was very dissatisfied. Granny New took hold of her crutches and gritted her teeth. Shiji, you have to do it for. Granny New's reluctant words had not yet been finished. Fragrant feet. Hancock kicked him directly. Bang. Ugh. A scream. Granny New was kicked out of the window. I don't need anyone else's pointers. Looking at Granny New, who flew out, Hancock curled his lips. But this movement scared the guards outside. Lord Snake G. What's wrong? 2 female warriors ran in quickly. Nothing. Help me change the window. I accidentally threw something out just now. Hancock smiled at the 2 of them, and the 2 female warriors were immediately fascinated. Yes, don't worry, Lady Shiji, they said repeatedly and ran out quickly. I'm going to get some tools to repair the windows. Hancock saw today's full moon through the broken window. The blue moonlight shines through the hole. Today is such a good day. Fuanayu. He is here too. I hope he can stay a little longer. Shikibukai or something. It's not appropriate to be a concubine. Hancock thought. Suddenly his face turned red and he couldn't help but smile. That was an extremely beautiful smile, like a fairy. The next day, a pirate ship like a white whale sails on the sea. This is Moby Dick. Sitting on the huge chair is a man with a crescent-shaped white beard. He is one of the 4 emperors, Edward Newgate. He was huge, 6 meters tall, just like his height. In this world, he is indeed very tall. After all, he is known as the strongest man in the world. However, his exposed upper body had several scars, all from countless battles in the past. At this moment, he still had potion hanging on his body and held a huge bowl in his hand, gurgling drinking wine. Whitebeard was surrounded by nurses wearing pink clothes. This is a team of nurses specially prepared for Whitebeard's dilapidated body. Captain, drink in moderation. The blonde nurse on the side tried to dissuade her. Asshole, how can drinking what you want to drink be harmful to your health? Whitebeard put down the wine with a bang. Dad, there's been a great person on the sea recently. Marco flew down from the sky. He still had the newspaper in his hand. Gula-la-la-la, an incredible person. Is he a newcomer? Whitebeard asked with interest. No, it's the pirate from more than 10 years ago who has appeared. The pirate who defeated the celestial dragon. The pirate who I always thought was missing or dead. The lord of the dead realm, Kongzan. He's back to the sea, Marco said with a serious expression on his face as he handed the newspaper to Whitebeard. It's actually this man. Whitebeard took the newspaper and suddenly his eyes widened. There seemed to be some disbelief in his tone. Kaido, his arm was cut off. Chapter 184. Four Emperors. Kaido, his arm was cut off, Whitebeard said in disbelief. That's right, Dad. I just discovered today that this man has been all over the news lately. A bounty of 1 billion bali was offered directly from more than 10 years ago. Recently, I just went to sea less than a month ago, and he actually directly up to 4 billion. This man has seized 2 islands that are very important to the government. One is Roger's hometown, Roger Town. The other is a member country of the world government. Alabasta. This is simply a slap in the face of the world government. Marco lamented. Unimaginable. How could there be such a bold man in the world? Marco saw the news and his heart exploded. And the world government actually did not control the spread of these things. After all, these things have caused great damage to the reputation of the world government. But it's not that I don't want to stop it. It can't be stopped. Gula la 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 la, the kid is really awesome now. No. Whitebeard looked at the wanted poster and suddenly frowned. What's the matter, Dad? Marco asked without knowing why. This kid had a 1 billion reward more than 10 years ago. But why doesn't his appearance change? It's very strange, Whitebeard asked, touching his chin. Dad, that's what I want to say. Maybe this guy has the secret to immortality. I want to go to sea to find this man. In this way, it may help your health, Dad, Marco said, although his tone was full of uncertainty. But he wanted to give it a try for his father. Gula la la la, no need. I know my body well. No matter what happens, my hidden wounds cannot be cured. There is no need to do useless things. Whitebeard shook his head. Then he raised his lips and said, "Thank you, my son." Dad, Marco cried. I don't know how long Whitebeard's body can last. New World, Kingdom of Totland. Cake Island. A huge figure sat on the seat. His eyes were red and bloodshot. His mouth was smeared with lipstick, and saliva dripped from his mouth from time to time. Holding the cake in his hand, he kept stuffing it into his mouth. Mommy, it's so delicious. She ate the food wantonly with her big mouth. This person is one of the 4 emperors. Charlotte Lingling. At this time, Mom, something big happened. Charlotte Prospero, the eldest son, hurried in. Prospero is a middle-aged man with a slender figure, a pointed face, and heavy makeup. He has a long nose and a tongue that reaches his chest. He has long dark blue hair with a hint of light blue. He is also known as the Candy Minister. Mommy, what's the matter? Prospero, Charlotte Lingling, who was eating cake, was in a very happy mood and asked with a smile on her face. Mom, Kaido has been defeated, Prospero said to him immediately. He clutched the newspaper tightly in his hand. What? You mean Kaido was defeated? Upon hearing this, she instantly felt that the cake in her mouth was no longer sweet. I felt a huge sense of crisis. Who? Navy? Whitebeard? Charlotte Lingling asked immediately. His eyes were solemn. No, Mom. Read it yourself. After saying that, Prospero handed over the newspaper. Wow. Charlotte Lingling quickly grabbed the newspaper. This is the Lord of the Dead Realm. Mama. I remember this man also snatched Kaido's son away. Interesting. Kaido was actually defeated by him. The subordinates deployed in Rotown. Her words were relaxed, but cold sweat broke out on her back. She can't even imagine what kind of man he is. Even his subordinates are so terrifying. Mom, this kind of guy appears on the sea. What should we do next? Prospero asked nervously. Huh? Kaido can't beat me. But are you questioning that I can't beat you either? That guy is really getting worse day by day. He actually lost to a junior. What an embarrassment to the Yonko. Charlotte Lingling said forcefully, gritted her teeth, and looked a little fiercely. Inform everyone that if you encounter this guy and the other party is not hostile, just go around. If he deliberately attacks us, I will start a war. Charlotte Lingling's tone was solemn. I understand, Mother. Prospero nodded repeatedly. Then he hurriedly ran down. New World. On an unnamed island. Boss, there seems to be an interesting kid recently. Ben Beckman held the newspaper. He said to Shanks beside him. Oh, what kid can make you feel interesting? Shanks asked with great interest, holding a wine glass in one hand. It seems the Lord of the Dead Realm who beat the Celestial Dragons for 3 slaves more than 10 years ago. Ben Beckman touched his chin and said, Huh? More than 10 years ago? Hit the Celestial Dragons? Then you can't be called a brat, right? Beckman, are you old and confused? Ha. Shanks looked drunk, seemed a little drunk. No, look at his reward order. Beckman handed Shanks the reward order in the newspaper. Isn't the bounty is the same as mine? This immediately woke Shanks up. The other party's bounty is exactly the same as his own. 4 billion bali. But he looked less than 20 years old. Wait, this name? How is that possible? Why is he still so young? Shanks also heard this name more than 10 years ago. The Lord of the Dead Realm who was famous at that time. Almost no one knows it. He was not yet a Yonko at that time. So he is a kid. And he has shown extremely terrifying strength recently. Beckman took a puff of the cigarette in his mouth and continued. 2 islands were occupied. said in fact, this newspaper was published a little late. Maybe the government is deliberately suppressing the news. But the impact of this incident is too great, and now the government can't contain the anger. That's why it was published. Beckman analyzed. And he, who has a very high IQ, naturally guessed it right. The Navy did originally want to hide this information. It's really amazing. You haven't aged for so long, so you can't be an old monster, right? Lucky Lou said while chewing the meat in his hand. He is a fat man wearing small sunglasses. Although he is fat, it does not affect his strength at all. It's really possible. When you say that. The first time he became famous was from the Chambord Islands. It was basically impossible to find him before. There are indeed some doubts about him. Beckman began to think. Chapter 185 News. Ha 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 ha. Why are you thinking so much? It has nothing to do with us. Come on, Beckman, drink, Shanks said and raised his glass. Looking at the casual Shanks, Beckman also raised the corner of his mouth. Since the boss is in the mood today, let's have a drink. Beckman also grinned and took the wine glass. Fucked up. Early morning. Daughter Island. Kongzan was sitting on the sofa in the dormitory, drinking a cup of coffee in his hand. Mikasa and Seko were still sleeping soundly on the bed. They made an appointment to sneak in at night. Kongzan didn't refuse either. Anyway, just sleep together, nothing else. I looked out the window and saw the news bird in the sky with nothing to do. Kongzan put down his coffee cup, walked towards the window, and then waved. The news bird also flew over after seeing it. Give it some Baileys and ask for a newspaper. Kongzan continued to sit back on the sofa. News from the pirate world? I've never seen it. Kongzan sighed with emotion. Then I took a sip of coffee and opened the newspaper. The next second, PFFT. Kongzan spit out the coffee. What kind of title is this? He was confused. The first headline written on this news was The Lord of the Dead Realm who beat the Celestial Dragons 10 years ago is born. Ageless appearance. There is also a second title, Lord of the Dead Realm. The terrifying force stationed in the Great Tomb of Nazarick in Rotown. After repelling the 2 naval admirals, he killed the 4th Emperor Kaido with an arm! The third title is Lord of the Dead Realm, forcing the Kingdom of Alabasta to withdraw from joining the world government. The mysterious Sand Ninja village appeared out of thin air and forced Crocodile to retreat from the Shikibukai! The fourth title is Lord of the Dead Realm, 4 billion bounty. The new 4 emperors are born, and the total bounty for all his subordinates exceeds 10 billion, which is comparable to the heinous crimes of Roger the Pirate King! Good guy. There are only 5 titles on one page, and 4 of them are occupied. This is wanted order. Kongzan saw something falling out of the newspaper. It is obviously a wanted order for all members of the Dragon Slayer Pirates. The first one is mine. Captain of the Dragon Slayer Pirates, Lord of the Dead Realm, Kongzan, 4 billion. It can make people disappear in an instant and has terrifying power. Note, there are many secrets about this person. If you tell the government, you can get 1 million in hard work pay. If you tell the crew about your ability, you can also get 100,000 in hard work pay. The captain of the first team, Ice Swordsman, Yamato, 1.97 billion, possesses the power of Ice Element and has extremely strong swordsmanship. Captain of the second division, Fire Swordsman, Yeri, 1.89 billion, possessing the power of the fire element and extremely skilled in swordsmanship. Captain of the third division, Shadow Killer, Mikasa, 2.05 billion. It can control shadows, making people unable to move, turning them into shadows, and has extremely fast movement speed. Captain of the 4th Division, Swordsman, Red Eyes, 300 million. His abilities are unknown, but he may be a powerful swordsman. Captain of the 5th Division, Ghoul, Izumi Takatsuki, 1 billion. He is a powerful ghoul who can instantly extend strange weapon attacks from his body. Captain of the 6th Division, Swordsman, Butterfly Canny, 300 million. His abilities are unknown, but he may be a powerful swordsman. Then there are the members. Those members who show abilities are higher. If you don't show your ability, the reward will be lower. But it's basically hundreds of millions. Behind it is the bounty of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. In other words, there are rewards for the 3 people who showed up. Sabers, Cocytus, Demiurge. Each one has a bounty of over 1 billion. Even Gaara in Alabasta has a bounty on his head. The bounty is 1.5 billion bili. After all, the sovereignty of Alabasta is now in his hands, and the price is actually not high. The Navy actually also attacked Alabasta. This is the 5th piece of news in the newspaper. The Vice Admiral attacked Alabasta, but was blown out by a hurricane before entering the desert. Well, it's obviously Timari's work. But Timari didn't seem to show her face, and she didn't see Timari's reward. These guys, they are really amazing. Kongzan touched his chin and sighed. After all, this kind of bounty is already very high in the pirate world. Those with lower bounties are those who have not shown much strength. But the government may not let its guard down either. The total number of members of their entire Dragon Slayer pirate group is over 20 billion. Which of the current 4 emperors has this level? And it's obvious. The members of my pirate group are more than just this powerful. This bounty still cannot match their strength. Kongzan. Brother, are you up? Mikasa, who was wearing a white shirt behind her, woke up and rubbed her eyes. You geese really know how to sleep in, but it's already 9 o'clock. Wake up Xizzy, otherwise you two will disappear and they will come looking for you. Kongzan glanced at the two of them for a moment and said, after all, they were discovered when they came over. Everyone is clamoring to come by then. That's not too much trouble. Ah. Okay, Sister Seko, get up quickly, we are going to escape. Mikasa pushed Seko gently, and Seko slowly opened her eyes. His mouth was still drooling. She wiped it quickly, and then said, is it morning? Sister Xizzy, the sun is shining on your butt. Let's go. Then we'll find him sleeping in Brother Kongzan's room. Maybe they'll all come here! Exclamation mark. It will be very troublesome after that, Mikasa said seriously. Well, let's change our clothes first. We have to go out quickly. Seko nodded lightly. She also understood what Mikasa meant. He quickly stood up and put on the clothes he had hung, and Mikasa quickly followed. Mikasa-chan, let's go wash up first, Seko and Mikasa said. Okay. Mikasa nodded quickly. Then, Seko turned her head again and said to Kongzan, Kongzan, I'll see you later. Mikasa said the same thing. Brother Kongzan, me too. See you later. Okay. Looked at the two of them. Kongzan smiled. Then the two of them disappeared with a whoosh. This makes them anxious. Humphrey. Okay. Kongzan couldn't help but laugh. These two are so cute. Early in the morning, the 4th Squadron returned to their old profession. Living comfortably without anybody's help, they were hunting in the nearby forest. It's really exciting to try the game here today. Will there be anything I haven't eaten before? I looked forward to it. By the way, Shitong, is there any news from the boss recently? Is everything okay? Ma Yin asked, holding the romantic turret pumpkin, the imperial weapon in her hand. Boss, it's no problem. Everything is fine over there. Boss said that after he stabilizes, he plans to come to our place. She will give her position to Brand. Shitong said. With ha 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 ha, it seems that boss is also planning to come for vacation. In that position, you have to sit and deal with various documents every day. It is very troublesome. Lenai sighed. The boss is so powerful. If it were me, I would definitely mess it up. Hill couldn't help but say. Nami at the back became confused and asked, Boss, who is that? Besides Boss Kongzan, do we have other bosses? Chapter 186. Poor Brown Bear. Nami's words made everyone stunned. Ha 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 ha, then they laughed. No, Nami, you came late, so you might not know. In short, Boss was our former leader. Thanks to the help of Boss Kongzan, Boss and we were able to successfully end a corrupt empire. Then we will help Boss Kongzan. Soon, the boss will come too. Lenai smiled and put his arm on Nami's shoulder, and then said, now we only have one boss with Boss. Ma Yin also said, that's Brother Kongzan. Kaitong answered, I see. Nami seemed to understand. Oh, by the way, this guy belongs to the Empire. Ma Yin said and poked the black pupils on the side. But Haitong ate the cookies without paying any attention. It's delicious. Haitong murmured. Huh? But isn't Chitong her sister? Nami asked, seemingly confused. It's true that she's my sister, but there's nothing we can do about it. Chitong joined the Revolutionary Army. It's the Revolutionary Army that resisted the Empire, not another revolutionary army. But Haitong was left behind to the Empire has been brainwashed. Otherwise, she would have been our right-hand assistant. Lenai sighed with a look of helplessness. It would be great if Black Tong could come to the Revolutionary Army with Red Tong. The path to revolution may be smooth there. But Haitong was too brainwashed at the time, and he didn't see the darkness of the imperial capital like Chitong did. Furthermore, Haitong has been forcibly given drugs by the Empire for a long time to enhance her strength. She is extremely dependent on the drugs and cannot leave the imperial capital. Her body is also in tatters due to the drugs. If it weren't for the help of Brother Kongzan, I might not be able to see him. It's time for black eyes. When Kaitong thinks about that kind of consequences, it's really scary. It's really great to be able to accompany Haitong and everyone like this now. That's right. Without the help of Boss Kongzan, we don't know how many of us can survive. After all, the supreme imperial weapon of the little emperor, oh my. The original revolutionary army is no match at all. Lenai felt a little frightened when he thought of the supreme imperial equipment hundreds of meters high. If Boss hadn't used the ability Kongzan gave her, they would have really been helpless. Boss Kongzan is indeed very powerful, and I agree with this. Ma Yin nodded lightly. The supreme imperial equipment. What is that? Nami asked curiously. She actually knew that Kongzan was very strong, but she actually had no specific idea. Let's ask what the supreme imperial weapon is. It can be regarded as a huge war machine, a terrifying force that can destroy the country. For us at that time, that kind of thing was like a god. Lenai thought of that scene and still couldn't help but marvel. Hey, destroy the country? That sounds terrible. Nami was stunned. She had never seen anything like this before. But it sounds exaggerated. While they were chatting, roar, a 3-meter-tall brown bear rushed over with its teeth bared. There was also a roar coming from his mouth. Oh, looks like I'm eating bear paws tonight. Lenai's face was full of excitement, and his appetite increased greatly. By the way, I didn't eat breakfast today either. Shitong's saliva was almost dripping. She quickly wiped the saliva from her mouth. It's not good to eat meat in the morning. It's better to wait until noon to eat this. Ma Yin raised the Tigger-romantic cannon. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the brown bear. This moment, the brown bear became the prey instead. But the brown bear had no idea what he was going to face next, still running towards everyone without fear. Well done. Lenai took the lead and rushed forward. Lion ears grew out of his head, sharp claws grew out of his hands, and there was a lion's tail behind him. This is her imperial weapon, the king of beasts, the Lion King. She is extremely fast. Bang! Her fist had already touched the brown bear's jaw. An uppercut brought him up, with only his back legs holding him up. Roar! This roar was his scream. Bang! Followed by another punch. Hit the brown bear in the belly. Ho ho! The brown bear was in pain and very angry. Shwa! He also punched back. A terrifying blow was swung towards Lenai. Crack! Hill appeared behind the brown bear at some point. Her Tegu is a giant pair of scissors called All Things Two-Step. In an instant, the brown bear's two arms were split into two. Clang! The two bear paws fell to the ground. Ho ho ho! Bang! A gunshot rang out. It was Ma Yin who took action. The shot hit the brown bear squarely in the forehead. A hole had been punched through the brown bear's forehead. As for Kaitong, he had already walked over and picked up the two bear paws. Looking at the bear lying on the ground, she drooled unsatisfactorily. Hill, let's break it up first. Lenai looked at the 3-meter bear and felt it was a little difficult to handle, so he spoke to Hill who was not far away. Okay, leave it to me. Hill raised the frame of his purple glasses and walked over. Started to deal with this brown bear. The other side, beside the forest. It's the edge of the island. Yuri and Yamato were still fishing in silence. Then, Yuri's fishing rod moved. Oh ho ho, there's something, Yuri said cautiously. Yamato on the side also quickly turned his head, watching nervously. 3, 2, Yuri started counting down. The next second, shwa, she pulled it up with all her strength. So big. It was a huge sea king, extra large. There are dozens of meters in length. Looks like a red goldfish. And Yamato shouted. Understood, Captain. Shwa. Annie instantly transformed into a giant. Drink. Anna controlled the giantess and punched the goldfish directly through it. Boom. Then he grabbed the fish's spine with one hand. Swish. Pull it into the land. Annie directly pressed him to the ground and punched him one after another. Bang, bang, bang. The terrifying sound even echoed round. Many of the surrounding trees were broken. The scene here was also seen by the soldiers protecting the country on Daughter Island. Hey, am I right? Is that the legendary giant? Margaret asked, covering her mouth. It should be. Is that giant fighting the Sea Kings? But I remember that the members of the Dragon Slayer pirates were fishing in the front. How could it be? Stobbeby's face was solemn. This is a woman of large stature. Let's go over and take a look. Kikyo ordered them. She is regarded as the captain of the soldiers who protect the country. She is a cold and charming woman with a high black ponytail and slender phoenix eyes. Chapter 187. Fishing. The goldfish like Neptune was unable to move. It looks like it's dead. And also started to deal with it. It's also easier to deal with Neptune types in giant form. Unknowingly, their warrior captain had brought the two of them here. Why are you here? She raised an eyebrow and asked when she saw the visitor. She walked forward and looked at the 3 Amazon warriors. When did this giant appear? It seems a little unclear. Kikyo looked at the giant Anna nervously. At the moment, Anna's dealing with the Neptune class. Oh. She is Annie. She can transform into a giant. She is a member of our Dragon Slayer Pirates Group 1. You explained. What? Giant transformation? Kikyo was confused. What the hell is giant transformation? Listening to the unfamiliar vocabulary, Kikyo couldn't understand it. Don't you know? She sighed helplessly, then turned to the giant Anya and shouted, Anna, change back first. And Anna heard this shout. Turn around and look. He seemed to understand, so he tore it directly from the back of the huge giant's neck and crawled out. The entire giant is like a human mecha. But the moment Anna left, the entire flesh of the giant's body seemed to evaporate. All that was left was the skeleton. And then the skeleton became extremely fragile. What's wrong? Anna asked, twisting his neck slightly and loosening his bones. It's actually you. Kikyo looked surprised. She still remembered this person and saw it at the banquet yesterday. I didn't expect that the huge giant just now was actually this woman. This kind of gap is unimaginable. Haha, nothing. They just asked why there was a giant here. Please explain a little bit. She waved her hand and said, laugh it out. Huh? Didn't you see me handling the food? Anna was speechless and curled his lips. Sorry, but it's unimaginable for a human to become a giant. Kikyo bowed quickly. Just now she really couldn't believe that such a thing happened. But now that she saw it with her own eyes, it was different. Behind Kikyo, Stobby and Margaret also bowed together. It can be seen that they are very nervous. After all, Hancock attaches great importance to the Dragon Slayer pirates. If something goes wrong with them, Hancock, as the Snake Lady, might do something. Huh? That's it? Then you and I will handle it together. It's really troublesome. Anna sighed and covered his forehead. Of course, it's not just them. Everyone from the first team and the second team is working on this Neptune class. After all, this Neptune-type goldfish is tens of meters long, which can be said to be very huge. You know, Arnie is only 15 meters tall when he becomes a giant. It is troublesome to deal with in itself. Okay. The three of them didn't dare to slack off. He nodded repeatedly. At this time, Yamato's fishing rod also moved. Oh ho ho, Yari. I have something here too. Yari was still preparing bait, but Yamato came over again. Come on. It's a great harvest today. Yari grinned. Just put down the fishing rod in your hand. The bait was a meatball with a diameter of 30 centimeters, and it just fell to the ground with a duang. Shua. Yamato pulled hard. The Neptune species that came up this time was about the same size as the one just now. It just turned into a blue crab, its body covered with spiny carapace. Seeing this, Yari immediately pulled out the sword. The next second, the sword instantly grew longer. Wow! Broke through the blue carapace of the Sea King and pierced into its body. Huh. A little heavy. Still alive and kicking. Really? Yari gritted her teeth. The terrifying flames burned the entire Neptune species along the blade. Just a few seconds. The Neptune crab turned red. Not moving either, but the whole crab was on fire. Then he threw it aside. Hey, Yari, don't burn it. Yamato shouted quickly. When the Neptune crab is suspended in the air, the power of ice in Yamato's body extends directly cover the entire Neptune crab. The crab's red carapace was covered with a layer of frost. The flames were also extinguished. Clang. There was a loud noise. The huge Neptune crab fell to the ground. Right next to the Neptune-like goldfish, Platycodon and the other three have become stupid. Such a big Neptune type is solved like this. I was really lucky today. I caught 2 sea kings. Yari stood up and looked happy. Maybe it's because this is the windless zone. I heard that there are more Neptunes in the windless zone. YY on the side touched her chin and said, after all, she is also a princess of a great country in the first half of the Great Channel. These things are still recorded in the library. That's it. Yamato and Yari nodded understandingly. Then the two of them showed greedy smiles. In other words, there must be a lot of these types of Neptunes here. Yari smiled. A good idea came to me. Yes. That's what you mean. Why? Yamato said the same as Yari. A smile appeared. Ah, I guess so. What's wrong? YY looked at the ferocious looks of the two of them and felt a little scared for some reason. Hey, there are 3 female warriors over there. Yamato suddenly shouted with a grin. Margaret, Stobby, and Kikyo quickly turned their heads when they saw each other calling them. Leave the meat of your daughter island to us. Yamato gave a thumbs up and smiled. The 3 women were a little dull. They just reacted. A purple-haired girl walked out of the forest, looked at the 2 sea kings, was slightly surprised, and said, oh, it looks like it's quite lively early in the morning. The person who came was naturally Seko. Captain Mikasa, why did you get up? What are we going to do next? Chelsea asked. Several of them are waiting in the lobby. Now there is a new member added to the 3rd team. Naturally it is Perona. Ha. Captain Mikasa woke up really late. What were you doing at night? Perona covered her mouth and started gossiping. In fact, she used her ghost clone to go through the wall and visit Kongzan's bedroom last night. So Perona naturally knows about Mikasa and the others. And the words fell. Mikasa's face also turned slightly red. Philo wants to eat. I'm so hungry. Philo shouted from the side. In fact, Philo does not belong to the 3rd team or any team. Usually he just stays on the boat, watching the mythical beasts of the boat. This time, because everyone came over and he was afraid that she would be too lonely, Kongzan also asked her to come with him. Yeah, it's time to eat. Let's go and see Yamato. They are fishing. Mikasa quickly dropped the subject. Chapter 188 Sakura Cake. They from the 3rd team easily jumped out of the high wall with Philo. Standing on the high wall, you can see a forest. Walk through this forest. Then you can see Yamato and the others. And Chitong and the others from the 4th division were hunting in this forest. The forest is actually not big. If Chitong and the others hunt here for a whole day, there probably won't be many wild beasts alive. As the 3rd division passed through the forest. But he was dumbfounded by the sight in front of him. So many Neptunes. What's going on? Perona was dumbfounded. At this time, she was floating in the air, flying around these sea kings. It looks like the harvest is very rich. Raftalia smiled gently. Oh, Captain Yamato and Captain Hayari are so awesome. With so many sea kings, the whole island can eat them for a while. Sai put his hands on the back of his head and walked towards the sea of sea kings with a look of emotion on his face. 1, 2, 3. There are actually 6 Neptunes. Robin counted briefly. His eyes widened slightly, a little surprised. I didn't expect that they could catch so many sea kings while fishing. Of course, in addition to the Neptune species, there are also some small fish and shrimps and so on. Although it is called small, it means that it is relatively small compared to the Neptune type, probably a few meters long. Yari heard the noise and turned to look over. Hey, Mikasa, you're finally here. Seeing Mikasa, she said hello naturally. Want to help? Mikasa asked with one hand on her hip. Yes. Please go deal with the sea kings. Yamato put down the fishing rod. He clasped his hands together with a begging look on his face. Leave it to me. Mikasa nodded lightly. So much meat. Philo wants to eat. Philo, who was behind Mikasa, drooled. His eyes were full of expectation. Wait a minute. Don't worry Philo, Let us deal with it first. Looking at Philo, who was about to rush forward, Raftalia immediately grabbed her collar. Hey, Philo is so hungry. Philo puffed his mouth. Eat this first. Chelsea took out a lollipop and stuffed it into Philo's mouth. Okay. Okay, Philo murmured while holding the lollipop in his mouth. I'm really busy. There are so many things to deal with. Hey, call all the soldiers on the island to come together. We can have a big banquet today. Yamato, who was fishing on the side, faced not far away the three female warriors shouted, Us? Looking at the numerous Neptune corpses, Kikyo thought for a moment and continued, Stoby, go call me. Margaret and I will continue to help here. Stoby also nodded quickly. Yes. The voice fell. She hurriedly ran towards the city. Say. The fifth team at the moment is shopping. It's really a country of all women. Interesting. Izumi Takatsuki sighed. And they are all sophisticated women. Women do all the work. Is this Daughter's Island? Dong Xiang murmured. And the women around them will look at them inadvertently. After all, they are all familiar with the people on the island. In their eyes, Takatsuki Izumi, and other people outside the island are very unfamiliar. Only some female warriors were invited to the banquet, and many civilians did not attend. But they knew that this banquet was for distinguished guests. Women on Daughter's Island. Most of them are muscular beings. The physique is no worse than that of men. Xiao, no Kagao, what do you want to eat? Izumi Takatsuki turned around and asked. After all, they were the only humans in the team, and ghouls have a special diet. Is that a cake shop? Akatsuki Minato saw the shop not far away, feeling a little hopeful in his heart. Oh, it seems so. Cake? I haven't even eaten it a few times. Buy more for them to try. Nuo Kigao also saw it, and his face seemed to be a little surprised. She also wanted to go back and give it to her sister to try. Then let's go and take a look first. Cake. Mile and Talent smiled slightly. 6th Division. They were already eating in a restaurant at the moment. Several people were sitting on chairs. There is a round table in front. Hey, sister, your bounty is only 300 million. Butterfly Ninja complained as he looked at the bounty. Ahaha. After all, I haven't taken any action. And it's not important, Kani said nonchalantly. But the captain of the 5th Division is worth 1 billion. It's a lot worse. Shinobu silently defended his sister, because she doesn't think her sister is worse than Takatsuki Izumi. What's the point? Aren't the red eyes of the 4th team the same as me? Don't be so angry. Kani narrowed her eyes and laughed. Sister, next time you encounter those navy, just charge forward. Then swish. Show them your strength, Shinobu said seriously. He also waved his knife and started describing it with a swish sound. Ha. I know. Kani narrowed her eyes and chuckled. Shinobu is really cute, she thought to herself. It's a pity that there are no Sakura cakes. I want to eat Sakura cakes. Michiru looked helpless. Thinking of cherry cakes, the meat in my mouth is tasteless. This place doesn't look like a place with cherry cakes. If you want to eat it, you really have to go find Boss Kongzan. Dasuki thought for a while, and then said, Sakura cake. Is it the one that the boss took out before? Cornis touched her chin, seeming to still have some impression of this. But I have never seen that kind of food. When Kongzan took it out, everyone saw it for the first time. Hey, looks like I have no choice but to go back to the boss. Anyway, just ask the boss to give me more. Millie lay on the table with a look of helplessness. Look at you like this. I still have the cherry cakes. Just give it to you. Shinobi saw Michiru's dejected look and shook his head helplessly. He took out a package of things wrapped in cloth from his arms and placed it on the table. He pushed it to Michiru. Mealy immediately cheered up. Unwrap the wrap. Wow, it's really a cherry cake. Her eyes seemed to glow with golden light. A look of joy on his face. She directly grabbed the cherry cake on the table and stuffed it into her mouth. As for these cherry cakes, Shinobu bought it from the Points store. Seeing how greedy Mealy is, it doesn't matter if she buys a little. Hey, I didn't expect you still have stock. Shinobu-chan. Kani looked slightly surprised. I've never seen Shinobu eat it before. Was it specially reserved for Mealy? This child is becoming more and more careful. Is it because of brother Kongzan? Kani thought to herself. Hee. Of course, sister, I must have foresight. Shinobu showed a proud expression. The look in Kani's eyes seemed to say, come on, praise me, come on, praise me. Yes, Xiaoran is the best. Chapter 189. The complete rule of the barque coastal. There are already more than 10 Neptunes piled up nearby. The female warriors who came to help from Daughter's Island were already overwhelmed, facing a dozen behemoths. It is really difficult to keep busy. Looks like I have to eat them one by one. The ones you don't want to eat should be frozen first. Yamato sighed. A cold air burst out from her body and froze some of the Neptune corpses. The scene is very spectacular, lest everything goes bad. Oh. Is this the strength of the captain of the Dragon Slayer Pirates 1st Division, to be able to freeze so many Neptunes in an instant? It's so surprising. What kind of devil fruit is it? The female warriors all sighed with emotion. Such frightening power. Hey, this one should be taken care of now, Yari asked, pointing to the goldfish and sea king that was caught first. This Neptune was not frozen, so it was obviously intended to be eaten today. As for how much you can eat, that's not clear. Okay, Okay. The female warriors spoke sternly quickly, as if they were very nervous facing Hiyori. Oh ho, then leave it to me. Hiyori looked excited. Pull the blade out. Terrifying flames ignited along the blade. Tap, step, step. Hiyori walked towards the Sea King step by step. Shua. The blade was inserted into the flesh and blood of the Neptune creature. Suzaku's flame. Burn, Hiyori said loudly. The red flames burn the entire Neptune class. The smell of meat spreads all around. It smells so good. Philo's eyes shone a little. Not a moment. Hiyori gradually withdrew the flames. The meat is also charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Sprinkle some spicy food and cumin. Hey. Yamato took 2 large bags of seasoning and sprinkled it on. Hey, brother Kongzan doesn't eat spicy food. Don't make it all spicy. Mikasa complained to Yamato from below. Yes, I know. Yamato responded repeatedly. Mikasa always remembers things about Kongzan very clearly. The fragrant fish meat made everyone on the daughter island drool. What a big piece of meat. Stobaby muttered. It seems like some of them are drooling. Can you eat it? Philo wants to eat. Philo's saliva was already flowing all over the floor. Hey, I really can't do anything about you. Go, go, go. Seeing Yamato, he was also very happy. Raftalia sighed softly and said to her, it's indeed almost ready to eat. Everyone, then, let's eat. Yamato also grinned. Okay, a group of female warriors shouted. They rushed up to the beach together and started eating. On the city wall. Hancock looked at the situation opposite. Standing behind her were her 2 younger sisters. Sister, is it really okay to have so many people gathering there? Isn't it too out of order? Sandaisane looked at the female warriors gathered not far away and felt a little worried. Then she turned to look at Hancock. It's okay, if it's what they want. Of course it's the Lord's will. I won't care. Hancock shook his head. Obviously, because it was Yamato and the others who let these female warriors pass. Hancock naturally thought it meant Kongzan. Since Anisama doesn't care, that's okay. Marigold also said softly. After all, the order of the daughter country is usually fine. I was afraid that Hancock would be angry if something like this happened. But since Kongzan came, Hancock's temper is much better than before. At this time, the terrifying barque. The Laura pirates thought about it for several days on the terrifying 3-masted sailing ship, but still did not go out. Sister Laura, is it really impossible to get out? Asked a man wearing a black cloth mask, showing 2 front teeth. He is also one of the Laura pirates. There is no way. I didn't expect their management to be stricter than that of Moria before. All the surrounding entrances are guarded by troops. You see, so many of us have been arrested. How can we get out? It's hard to get the shadow back. At least save them. Laura's fists were clenched. Nervous sweat left on her face, and she was a little irritated. After all, her younger brother was arrested. How could she, the leader, feel at ease? But the other party is too strong. That man somehow managed to conjure up these guys. These people don't look like a good person. The thin man with the afro gritted his teeth. Very overwhelmed. There are only a few people in the Laura pirates. Originally there were dozens of people. Now there are only a few left. The rest were all captured by the vampires. The bark of terror is filled with vampires. Damn it. It seems they were all caught in the city that suddenly appeared. What's it called? The 3rd city. Sangunam? What a strange name. Laura was a little dissatisfied, but everyone was obviously not okay with it. Easily regain the shadow. It's about to be reborn. Such a group of guys appeared halfway. Is there really no other way? Laura scratched her head and didn't know what to do. Ah la la, what can't be done? An unhurried voice came from behind him. This unfamiliar voice made several people's hearts freeze. He quickly turned his head and looked. You are. Laura opened her eyes wide. Allow me to introduce myself, Farid Barkley, the 7th ancestor of the vampire aristocracy. Farid narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, Vampire. That's what you said. I remembered. He seems to be the vampire queen's right-hand man. Laura spoke suddenly, her eyes widening, feeling a little surprised. Ah la la. Now that it's clear, everyone come for a walk with me. Farid chuckled. After all, vampires always want food. The humans here are just right. To vampires, humans are nothing more than domestic animals. As for domestic animals, just keep them in captivity. Gulu. Several people did not dare to act rashly. They have seen the opponent's strength before. Even ordinary vampires have extremely strong resilience. Even if your arm is broken, it can be reattached quickly. It also increases its strength by sucking human blood. For ordinary humans like them, this level is indeed too outrageous. What should I do? Sister. The thin man with the afro was at a loss. Chapter 190 Rabbit Don. Tick-tock. Laura's sweat poured out all over her body and fell to the ground. There were only 2 thoughts in her mind at the moment. And these 2 ideas are completely opposite. Resistance or submission. Pick one of 2. There is no alternative. Let's go with you. Laura seemed to be discouraged. Still obeyed the other party. Ah la la. Looks like there's no need to do anything. Farid put his hands on the back of his head easily. Wah. A group of vampires took down their weapons instantly. Then they were handcuffed one by one. Damn it. Feeling the pressure from the other party, The thin man with the afro couldn't help but cursed. What a dirty human being. You are lucky to be raised by us, a vampire said bluntly. TSK, bastard vampire. Sorry. Sister Laura, I really can't bear it anymore. You've arrested so many of our compatriots, and you're still so arrogant. Ugh. The black cloth mask. The man rushed directly towards Frid. After all, to capture the thief first, capture the king. As long as you succeed, then there will be no problem. Drink. The man with the black cloth mask punched Frid. Ouch. This is not good. Ha ha. Frid grinned. He suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed his arm directly. Creak. There was a sound. The man in the black cloth mask seemed to have had his arm bones removed. Shwa. A little tug. The arm was torn off by Frid. Ugh. The blood was flowing. Stop. Laura shouted quickly. She also wanted to take action, but it was too late. She had handcuffs on her hands, and the two vampires behind her were controlling her. Damn it. The severe pain caused the man in the black cloth mask to cover the wound with one hand and kneel down. Ouch. It's really dirty. I don't want to drink this kind of blood. Frid looked at the severed arm in his hand and threw it away. Clang. It fell to the ground. You all should be honest. Otherwise, it will be really difficult for Master Krulru to trouble me. Frid flipped up his white-gray hair and continued. Then he waved his hands at the vampires. And those vampires understood instantly. He quickly went up and grabbed the man with the black cloth mask. Take away. Dash. Krulru sat on the throne. She has red eyes, pointed ears, raised eyes, and small tiger teeth in her mouth. Her peach-pink hair is scattered on her back, and the strands of hair fall on her shoulders. Wearing a bat-shaped hair accessory, she held her chin in one hand. He looked at the vampire in front of him with arrogant gaze. Crowley Usford, how are the humans on the island cleaning up? Krulru's cold voice came. Lord Krulru, please don't worry. Most of the humans have been kept in captivity. There are still a small number of humans, Frid, who are being captured. Crowley Usford was half kneeling. He has pointed ears and red eyes. He has red hair in front of his forehead and black hair in the back, with long braids. His body movements clearly showed respect to the pink-haired Lolita on the throne. Very good. But these humans are still not enough for us vampires to drink. You take some of the vampires out to sea, and then go to find better food. We must first ensure the diet of all our vampires. Krulru said calmly. Understood, Lord Krul. Crowley also nodded. I don't want Lord Kongzan to need us, but every vampire looks weak, and food must be prepared quickly. 3 days. Is enough? I'll give you 3 days. You must capture at least 1,000 humans to ensure our food. Krulru's eyes were very serious. After all, Kongzan had already helped them find a place to live. If they couldn't find food, it would be a shame for their trust in Kongzan. That's what Krulru was thinking at this moment. Of course, no problem. Crowley replied with respect. After all, Kongzan said at the time that he must obey Krulru's instructions, so naturally he didn't dare to mess around. Okay, let's go down. Get ready and go. Krulru waved his hand casually, his voice emotionless. Not at all as gentle as in front of Kongzan, signaling that he can go. Yes. Crowley stood up and bowed slightly, then quickly retreated. Krulru sighed. I picked up a red apple and bit into it. The apples were sweet, but she felt a little sad inside. At this moment, he was summoned by Kongzan, but he could only stand by. Nothing can be done. This is indeed a bit confusing. Now I can only raise troops. I hope that one day I can help Kongzan. She added this time. That's the idea. On the beast pirate ship. The hole that Luffy made earlier has been patched up. They were imprisoned in a seafloor stone cage on a pirate ship. Hey, let us out, you bastard Yonko. Keep going. I will definitely defeat you. At this moment, Luffy woke up from his coma. The blood on his head has also dried, and the wounds are gradually scabbing. Recovery was quick. Hey, Luffy, give up. We are no match for him now. Zoro crossed his arms and looked gloomy. In my arms is the word harmony. Brother Luffy, just give up. That flying monster is so strong. I heard that you were instantly killed by the Yonko Kaido. We'd better accept our fate. Johnny looked bitter. After all, he felt really helpless. I can't beat him at all. Luffy, I didn't expect that I would end up here just a short time after going to sea. Sanji lit a cigarette, put it in his mouth, and sighed softly. Damn it. Am I still too weak? I can't do anything. Luffy punched the sea tower stone cage. I wanted to break the prison, but my whole body was powerless in an instant. Cold sweat broke out. He didn't understand why at all. He just felt that he seemed too weak. Are you really going to die this time? Damn it. I haven't become a brave sea warrior yet. Usopp's nose seemed to be curled up in fear, with a bitter look on his face. No, he probably won't die, Sauron suddenly said after pondering. Usopp was stunned. Then he seemed to suddenly remember something. Oh, right. That guy seems to be saying something about catching us in the rabbit hole. Usopp touched his chin and continued to speak. Rabbit Don, where is that place? Sanji frowned, a little confused, and then looked at everyone. Have you heard of it? And the answer to him was a unanimous shake of the head. Chapter 191 The Straw Hats Practicing. He. What a bunch of weaklings from the East China Sea. The guarding pirate heard their words and walked in, his eyes filled with contempt. Although we lost this battle, not just any East China Sea pirate can defeat us. You dare to provoke Mr. Kaido? You are so brave. The guarding pirate looked a little fat and very tall. Everyone in the straw hats was dissatisfied with his words. But he was right. They are indeed weak. Even their captain is just a minion that Kaido manipulates at his convenience. TSK, so where is Rabbit Don? Sanji asked directly. I feel a little uncomfortable, but I still have to ask what I need to ask. Aborigines like you from the East China Sea must not even know what the New World is, right? The guarding pirate crossed his arms and sat directly on a stool nearby, looking at everyone. Hey, you haven't replied yet. Before Sanji could finish his words, he was stopped by Usopp. At this time, Usopp was calmer. He followed the guarding pirate's words and asked, New World? What kind of place is that? Hear Usopp's answer. The guarding pirate showed an expression that was indeed true. Then he burst out laughing. PFFT ha 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 ha. No way. Do you guys really not even know about the New World? That's right. After all, you haven't even entered the Grand Line. How do you know the second half of the Grand Line? This is the most dangerous sea area. The guarding pirate grinned and looked at the pride on everyone's faces. As a member of the Beast's pirates, he is naturally extremely proud in front of these young pirates. The most dangerous sea area. New World. Luffy murmured. The Grand Line. The second half. Sanji gritted his teeth, as if he had thought of something. He also has some impressions of this. Maybe the all blue he is pursuing is over there. Of course, this is not said casually. Due to the vertical and horizontal division of the Red Earth continent and the Great Line, the fish in these four seas are also separated. Except for the kind of sea king, ordinary fish cannot reach other seas. The fish from all over the world will only come together after entering the Grand Line from the Upside Down Mountain. Therefore, all blue, a sea area that contains fish from four sea areas at the same time, can only exist in a corner of the Grand Line. Danger. Usopp's voice trembled. Well. He just heard these two words. Humphrey. There are countless great pirates in the New World who are stronger than you, and Mr. Kaido is the best among these great pirates. Caught by Mr. Kaido and put in prison. You should be proud too, the guard pirate said with a smile. Prison? So, Rabbit Don is a prison, Zoro said. Unexpectedly, as a pirate, he was not caught by the Navy, but instead was imprisoned by the pirates. And they figured it out, where they will face next. That's right. Usagi Don is the prison in Wano Country. Wano Country is our territory, Mr. Kaido. If you go in, don't even think about escaping. Ha 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 ha. Just stay and Usagi Don. Do some hard work. The guarding pirate laughed. Then he turned around and walked out. New World. I didn't expect that we actually went to the New World like this. Are we working as coolies? Sure enough, I am too weak. Zoro felt very unhappy in his heart. If the gap is so big, he will still have a long way to go to become the world's greatest swordsman. But he must do it. Let your name resound throughout heaven. Perhaps only in this way, Kuina can hear her reputation in heaven. We have to get stronger. Luffy also understood at this moment. They are still too weak now. Practice, Luffy said suddenly. Huh? Johnny subconsciously made a questioning sound. Yeah. It's time to practice hard. Even Zoro, who had been sitting, stood up. Training? Hey. No. We are still locked up now. What the hell is training? Usopp was immediately confused. How to practice in this situation now? Brother Sauron. What are we going to do? Joseph also asked at a loss. Practice. You can practice now. Sauron started to do push-ups naturally. Oh ho ho. I'm coming too, Luffy also said. And Joseph and Johnny also followed suit. Sanji's eyes twitched. He looked at the railings made of sea stone. Kick hard. When? He didn't move at all. My legs still hurt a little. TSK. Sanji curled his lips. Hey. We really came here because we had nothing to do. They said they would make us do hard labor. Usopp murmured, with a look of despair on his face. All right. He started emo. Coolie? Maybe it's a kind of practice. Sanji could only think of the good things. Even if this cage is broken, it is definitely impossible to defeat Kaido. So now basically all we have to do is wait. Rotown. The Great Tomb of Nazarick. There are still sporadic pirates appearing recently. But even those pirates can't be dealt with. The skeleton soldiers can deal with them. A group of guardians gathered in the hall, looking at the image in front of them. In the image, there were scenes of some young pirates being chased and beaten by Death Knights. It seems like there haven't been any powerful attacks recently. As expected, human beings are nothing more than an inferior species, Albedo said casually. I don't know how powerful the world's strongest fighter can be. Demiurge raised his glasses and began to think. After all, this world has not encountered strong humans or other species for the time being. But what they knew better was that the Admiral and the four Emperors were already very powerful. It seems to be the top fighting force in the world. Perhaps we alone can help Master Kongzan rule the world. I heard that the world is now ruled by a world government. How about you just let me go over and attack it and give you a surprise? The person who spoke was speaking. It's Cositas. No, our exploration of this world is only in Rotown. The information we obtained was also given by the enemy. What if there is false information in it? What if the so-called four emperors and generals? What about the opponent's mid-level combat power? It's not impossible. If something goes wrong, how do you explain it to Lord Kongzan? Demiurge asked an important question with a serious face. One thing to say. He is very careful in details. After all, the one who accidentally lost was the Great Tomb of Nazarick, and the one who lost face was Kongzan. If such a consequence occurs, no one in the Great Tomb of Nazarick with its glorious record can afford it. Chapter 192 The Unification of Sky Island. It's so troublesome. So, what are you going to do? Shaltia crossed her arms. She was a little bored listening to everyone's discussion. Demiurge is right. We can't attack so unprepared. We must at least understand the opponent's real trump card. This world is the world that Lord Kongzan personally intends to conquer. There must be no mistakes. Big mistake. We can't hold Master Kongzan back. Albedo also looked serious. That's right. You should be more careful. Mare on the side also agreed. I would say that before Master Kongzan gives no orders, it is enough for us to protect Rotown properly. You are thinking too much. Master Kongzan looked like he didn't want us to get involved too much. Why should we do unnecessary things? It would be best for Lord Kongzan to wait until Lord Kongzan needs us before helping. Aura looked casual. She put her hands on the back of her head and expressed her understanding. Yes, Aura is right. Albedo nodded, but continued. But we must also know more information about this world. Wait until Master Kongzan needs us. Sometimes, it can help more. Let's do this. Send some Death Knights to go to sea with low-level skeletons. I will use surveillance magic to explore other islands by controlling the Death Knights. What do you think? Albedo asked everyone. This proposal is indeed a good one. Demiurge thought for a moment and then nodded. Well, I think it's good too. Cositas also agreed. Then, all the Guardians nodded. Because this method is indeed the safest at present. Okay, if there is no objection, then it is decided. First send some Death Knights to other islands to find out information about this world. Albedo said. This is also the unanimous decision of everyone. Sky Island. Lepiado. In the center of the forest, white and holy castles stand here. A group of beautiful and moving beings live here. So, they are angels. They are also representatives of gods. Liang Bing. Have the Sandians solved it? Keshaw sat on the sacred throne and asked about Liang Bing in front of her. Solved. Those dead guys still don't agree, but after hearing that there was a discharge of pitchy here before, they seem to have changed their attitude. Coupled with my mother's forceful pressure, I am willing to coexist peacefully with Angel Island. Liang Bing waved his hand casually. He picked up the water on the table beside him and drank it. Just solve it. But I'm really afraid that you will kill them all if you disagree. Looking at Liang Bing's arrogant appearance, Keshaw helplessly raised her forehead. But Liang Bing is like this. Although she is an angel, her personality and speech and behavior are very arrogant. Sister, don't you praise me? Liang Bing laughed teasingly. Keshaw was stunned for a moment when she saw the unruly Liang Bing, but then she laughed. Well done, Liang Bing, she praised. It was such a simple compliment. Liang Bing was in a good mood. Tap, step, step, not far away. Heavy footsteps came. It was a silver-haired beauty. It was Tan King Jin. Hizai. Liang Bing, you move very fast. Is it done? Hizai asked as soon as he walked in. Of course. Who do you think I am? Liang Bing looked arrogant. Ha ha ha. That's right. I'm done here. Either all the remnants of the priests will be killed, or else they will be brought under his command to manage Angel Island. The internal position planning and the management plan of Kongdao have been laid out. The whole system is almost ready, and it will just be optimized over time. Hizai looked at Keshaw and reported the current situation. Many internal Angel members are managed by Hizai. They are all doing well. In this case, the entire Sky Island is gradually under control. By the way, troop handles should also be set up on the borders of Lepiado and Kongdao. The current empty island belongs only to the leader. If anyone outside wants to come in, please notify me first. Keshaw looked at the two of them and spoke seriously. She was not afraid of the coming people, but was afraid that the coming people would be enemies. Okay, let me arrange the border of Kongdao. I'll ask the Sandians to also contribute. Leave it to Hexy for what Lepia has too much for. Liang Bing suggested, speaking directly. Well, I think this is feasible. Hexy, what do you think? Keshaw thought for a moment, looked at Hizai and continued to ask. I don't think there is any problem. Hizai nodded lightly. It felt pretty much the same. That's fine, that's it. Go and execute it now. I also want to analyze the elemental composition of this world. It seems to be slightly different from our previous world. Seeing that Hizai had no objection, Keshaw directly asked the two of them to take action. It's better to get this kind of thing done as soon as possible. Okay. Hizai and Liang Bing nodded. A few days later. Numa Island. It is still extremely peaceful. Even the Nine Snakes pirates no longer go to sea. You must know that usually the Nine Snakes pirates go to sea. It's still relatively frequent, but they have been eating very well recently. They eat Neptunes every day. There are more than a dozen frozen Neptunes on the coast, each one waiting to be slaughtered. On the beach of the island, now move a lot of tables and chairs came over. Many female warriors camped here directly. After dealing with the Sea Kings, they grilled and ate it directly. It was very enjoyable. Yamato was also dealing with the Sea Kings. At this time, only Mikasa and Hiyari were fishing. Mikasa, what kind of bait was that you gave me before? It's really amazing. You can't catch this kind of Sea King with ordinary bait. and you can only catch big fish at most. But every time you use your bait, there will be sea kings. Hiyari curiously asked Mikasa next to her. That's right. The reason why Yamato and Hiyari were able to catch the sea kings was all due to the bait Mikasa gave them before going to Daughter Island. This is secret. Mikasa directly showed an unspeakable expression. Hey, just reveal a little. They are all friends. Hiyari puffed her lips and pressed her face against Mikasa's cheek again. It was only 5 minutes away from Mikasa's cheek. Two extremely beautiful cheeks are like paintings. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. It's a secret. Mikasa strongly refused. After all, she bought this from the Point Small, so she couldn't say it casually. Hey, Hiyari sighed helplessly. Okay. Since it is a secret that Mikasa keeps so well, that should be important too. Forget it, Hiyari thought. Chapter 193 Keli's smartphone. Inside the luxurious room, Yanman sat on the chair next to Kongzan respectfully. The two of them were also eating Neptune species. I heard that Yamato and the others caught a lot of sea kings. They did a great job. Kongzan couldn't help but sigh as he felt the delicious food in his mouth. The seasoning is also very delicious. It's really good. Yan also nodded slightly. What a leisure time. Kongzan took a look at the group chat. Bulma, I actually met a guy named Sun Wukong, but that guy was so easy to trick. I took the Dragon Ball away while he was sleeping. Bulma, ha. Izumi Shinichi, awesome. Can you still play like this? Kanki Ken. Good guy, you are really good. Bulma, that Sun Wukong is really annoying. Although he is very powerful, he feels like a stupid little brat. Bulma, now ride your bike and run away quickly. If you don't run further, I'm really afraid of being caught up by him. Kongzan glanced at the group chat and called him a good guy. This plot collapsed from the beginning. Iwatani Naofumi, by the way, I remember the boss said that Sun Wukong will protect the earth from behind, right? Is it really okay to steal his things like this? Bulma, what does this have to do with anything? At worst, you will protect me when the time comes. Bulma, you will help me when I am in danger. Right? Kanki Ken, that's true, but be careful yourself and don't get caught. Kanki Ken, we can't save him if he's killed. Kongzan, indeed, if you are resurrected, you still have to go to the King of Hell to recruit people, which is really troublesome. Kongzan, if the soul is accidentally destroyed, it will be even more troublesome. Kongzan silently complained in the group. Kanki Ken, King of Hell? What's that? Bulma, the soul is destroyed? Do you want it to be so scary? Kongzan, Yama is the god who manages heaven and hell in Bulma's world. Kongzan, but he is not a great god. Bulma, in charge of heaven and hell? Isn't that big? Bulma was stunned. Kongzan, for you, it may be quite big. Kongzan, there is also the god of destruction behind you who can destroy everything. Kongzan, it should be more troublesome for the earth, but there is still so much time left, so the group members should be very strong. Bulma was riding her motorcycle and almost stumbled into the rock in front of her. Takui quickly turned the corner. God of destruction. Bulma was a little numb. Forget it. Just shake people in the group when the time comes. This shouldn't be any big problem. Now I should run quickly. After all, that Sun Wukong has some abilities, but I'm just afraid that he will catch up. Bulma, how strong is this God of destruction? Bulma, can the group leader describe it? Kanki Ken, I'm a little curious too. Kongzan, how do you say Beerus, the god of destruction? Kongzan, with all his strength, he can destroy a universe. Kongzan, he is a moody person. He may eat unpalatable food on a certain planet and destroy the planet. Kongzan, destroying planets is also his job as the god of destruction, but he usually destroys planets with low average combat power. Well, I can't say for sure. It mainly depends on his mood. Kongzan gave a simple explanation. Beerus is indeed a more arbitrary god. As long as the king or the great priest does not appear, Beerus will always look like I am invincible in the world. Bulma, hey, what kind of god is he? He actually considers destroying planets as his job? That's outrageous. Bulma complained. This was indeed outrageous to her. As an ordinary human being, she could not even imagine that such a guy existed. Kanki Ken, didn't boss Kongzan say it? God of destruction? Kanki Ken, but it sounds very interesting. I kind of want to fight him. Iwatani Naofumi, Kanki-san is so elegant. I can't do it, but if he is marked as a slave, he should be a very good slave. Well, Izumi Shinichi, you can really think about it. Bulma, it has to be you. Bulma felt relieved after seeing the chat records of the group members. After all, with that casual tone, they didn't seem to care that much about the so-called god of destruction's strength. Black Tower, Beerus, the god of destruction? I wonder which one is more powerful than Nanook, the star god of destruction? Kongzan, oh, star god is indeed a powerful guy. Kongzan touched his chin. If you compare these two, it's really a bit confusing. One is the star god of destruction, and the other is the god of destruction. It's really elusive. He thought about it. Kanki Ken, does boss Kongzan know? Kongzan, it's hard to say, the two guys feel about the same. I think Beerus may be slightly stronger than Nanook. After all, Beerus' power can destroy the universe, and basically has no limitations. It's just that his job is to destroy the planet. Kongzan, however, the destruction star god has certain limitations due to his own life path. In a sense, he is still slightly stronger than Beerus. Kongzan, of course, maybe in another aspect, Star God will be stronger. Kongzan, I won't go into details. Kongzan said briefly. Black Tower, worse. Almost. Black Tower, this is really interesting. The Black Tower is also a little surprised at this moment. He did not expect that the gods of the other world are so powerful, and maybe slightly stronger than destruction. Surprisingly, if this is the case, does it mean that this kind of existence exists in every world? How many worlds are there? How many such strong men are there? It's scary to think about it. He sighed softly, not daring to think about it further, because this kind of problem is simply impossible to figure out. Maybe we can find the answer in the chat group in the future. Keli, woo. Keli is locked up in a solitary room again. Keli, Captain Kin is so cruel. Kongzan, hey guys, isn't Keli boring? Keli, yes. Yes, in the solitary room, I can only read books, draw pictures, and can't do anything else. Keli, can the leader of the group come to play with Keli? Kongzan, it'll take some time. Aren't you still in confinement? Kongzan, if you are too bored, you can play this. Kongzan, Keli's exclusive red envelope. Keli has received the red envelope. Confinement room. Keli looked at the smartphone in her hand. A lot of knowledge suddenly poured into my mind, all about the use of mobile phones. She instantly became radiant. Keli, so awesome. This is something called a mobile phone. Keli has never seen it before. Black Tower, mobile phone? Don't you have any such thing? Keli, we really haven't seen it here. Keli, thank you. The group leader. Black Tower was slightly surprised by the backwardness of Keli's world. You must know that all of the dolls are equipped with mobile phones. After all, they are the most common communication tool. Kongzan, you're welcome. Chapter 194. The Meeting of the Five Old Stars. Oh my little Keli is so good. Kongzan narrowed his eyes and smiled, sighing inwardly. Yan on the side looked at Kongzan, tilting his head slightly, a little puzzled. What's wrong, Chief? Yan asked. She didn't understand why Kongzan suddenly laughed. No, it's nothing. Kongzan shook his head slightly, then looked at Yan, and continued to ask, is everything going well these days? And Yan got serious and said, everything is going well. This is a windless zone. There are basically no ships. The surrounding sea areas are all within the detection range, so the leader can rest assured. Hear Yan's words. Kongzan also nodded with satisfaction. It seems that Yan's protective work is good. Although their traces are basically invisible to the Navy, they still have to be careful. Five old stars. The supreme power of world government. In a spacious hall, 5 old men were sitting on the sofa, each of them looking serious. What should we do about this recent incident? It's such a big fuss. It doesn't take our world government seriously at all. The person who spoke was a bald man wearing round-rimmed glasses and holding a long sword. His name is Zamblong Venus Terangsheng, the god of finance and war, and his name represents Venus. What else can I do? What a troublesome kid. If it doesn't work, let CP0 handle it. The bald man with a big white beard replied. The two eyes are like spheres. Putting his hands on his thighs, he was wearing a formal black suit. He is known as the legal warrior god, Topman Warbull, and represents Mercury. CP0, but the opponent's strength is too strong. Even CP0 may not be able to defeat it. It has the strength to escape the 2 admirals it defeated. It also cut off the Yonka Kaido with 1 arm. That man is really a variable, or a huge variable, a tall and thin old man said. He has long white hair and beard. His skin is whiter among the 5 old men, and his nose is slender. His mouth was somewhat covered by his white beard. He is the environmental warrior god, Marcus Mars, who represents Mars. Still defeated by the opponent's men deployed in Rotown. What a shame for the government. Isn't the only way to wake up Lord him? The strong old man said. He looked like the youngest among the 5 old men, because only his hair is not white, but blonde, still a 3/4 length, and the other is a short blonde beard that surrounds his mouth. There are no obvious wrinkles on his face. His face is relatively square. His skin is somewhat dark, and he is somewhat strong. Looks like a middle-aged man. He is the agricultural god of war, Shepherd 10 Peter, whose name represents Jupiter. No, it's too early to disturb Lordum now. At least give it some time. There seems to be no movement from the other party recently. Let's wait and see. It would be best if we can maintain a stalemate. 40. The reward of 100 million. To be honest, I think it is a bit low. An old man wearing a black cloth turban said. There is a scar at the corner of his eye, and his white hair is like a thick round face, 1 by 1, and a big white beard. He is the god of science and defense, Saint Jigulsha Satan, representing Saturn. The strength of each of them is unfathomable. After all, they are the 5 people at the top of the world government. But above them, there is the mysterious Lord Im. It is said that that person is a being above the celestial dragons, has extremely high rights. He is also the real mastermind behind the world government. That's right, it's too early now, but we need to find a way to suppress them. Do you have any ideas? Saint Nashulang covered his forehead in distress and looked at everyone. Each of them must take this kind of thing seriously, so as not to ruin Lord M's original plan. It is said that their ships can fly, and we can't even search their whereabouts. It's really difficult. St. Peter touched his chin and spoke helplessly. This is really troublesome, but we don't have to deliberately look for their traces. Mashing touched his long beard and said. His eyes were also full of solemnity. That's what you said. We just need to be careful. Let the Navy take a detour when they see them. Don't continue to conflict with the other party. Presumably the other party doesn't want a war. They seem to be very stable recently. Yes, maybe it's time to stop. Although there have been a lot of things recently, they are not enough to alarm Lord M. Well, how should I put it? It will take some time. Wokali Sheng nodded and thought for a while, and then continued. Also, there is the issue between Rotown and Alabasta. How to deal with it? Saint Satan asked. Just send someone to investigate the situation not far away, and try not to alert the other party. It's been a month. Has the ice in Rotown not melted yet? Saint Peter asked with a frown. After all, it's been so long. The ice should have melted. According to the intelligence, it is indeed not melting, and there is no sign of melting at all. This kind of ice power is no worse than that of Admiral Aokiji. That little girl named Yamato is quite extraordinary. Nashulang Sheng said coldly. They were completely unaware of where the other party's bottom was. The opponent's strength is like the ocean. It's hard to find the bottom with one hand, so you can only try your best to test it. But if you test too much, you are afraid of annoying the other party and causing heavy losses to yourself. If at that time, the four emperors attack the naval government, it will be even more doomed. They have thought of almost every possibility and cannot make any mistakes. How did they appear? Haven't they been found out yet? Wokali Sheng asked as he scanned the crowd. It can't be found, and the so-called Great Tomb of Nazarick and the Sand Ninja Village can't be found at all. It can be said that there is no trace at all. The first trace of the man's appearance is only 20 years old. Before Wano country. This man just appeared out of thin air. Mashing touched his chin and frowned. Since ordinary organizations are no different, then sent CP0 to investigate, and asked Doflamingo, maybe this bastard from the underground society knows. Peter Saint said. In fact, they were very aware of what Doflamingo was doing, but they just acquiesced without making it explicit. But Doflamingo had to do something for them. Otherwise, Doflamingo can lose his status as a Shikibukai at any time and expose everything about him. Chapter 195 Valkyrie. Okay, I'll inform that bastard Doflamingo then. If that guy doesn't obey, then remove the Shikibukai as well. Anyway, they were the ones who wanted to withdraw from the Celestial Dragons in the first place, and they ended up like this. You really deserve it. Nashulang's holy words did not give any face at all to them. Doflamingo was nothing more than a watchdog who had withdrawn from the Celestial Dragons. Well, in that case, I will now inform warring states to deploy the navy around Rotown and Alabasta for exploration. Wokuli Sheng nodded slightly. Then he stood up. After all, someone has to do things. Okay, you go. That's it. The Wulaxing meeting is still going on. This matter cannot be discussed in a short while. At least a few people will have to think about it for a few days before coming up with various countermeasures. They knew very little about Kongzan, so we can only be cautious. A few more days passed. Daughter Island is also very stable. There's no navy or anything like that coming to attack. The Sunshine and the Ark's proverbs drove through the gate of Daughter's Island and entered the waters inside the island. After all, it's safer this way. You can also choose to live on a boat or on an island. Kongzan was peacefully basking in the sun on the boat at this time. The sun is very warm today. It is indeed a good day to bask in the sun. The sun is very warm, but it's too leisurely. Kongzan was wearing black sunglasses, which was really boring. I have also finished chasing the comics on hand in the past few days. I'm almost done with a novel. Maybe it's time to find another world to play in. But where should we go? Kongzan touched his chin. This kind of thing is really distressing. To be honest, he was not particularly interested in the worlds of the current members of the group. In that case, let's bring someone in. Kongzan stretched a little and murmured to himself. He just pulled a random person. I just hope I can attract someone interesting. Group chat. Ding. Welcome Brunhilde to join the group chat. Kanki Ken, welcome to the group. Butterfly Ninja, newcomers are welcome to join the group. Baixiofai, welcome newcomers. Seeing this, Kongzan raised his eyebrows. This guy can do it. Isn't this something to do? But Brunhilde had no time to reply to their words at the moment. The Council of Valhalla. The meeting hall. Almost all the gods are gathered here. They all look weird. For example, a white goatee, a red pig-headed man, a bird man with white wings, a purple-skinned male god with 4 arms, a blonde goddess with a big European style, etc. All kinds of weird gods gathered in the meeting hall. In the center of the meeting hall is an old man who looks thin but lean. The old man's beard and eyebrows are somewhat long, wearing white simple clothes. He is the speaker of the council and a pillar of the 12 Olympus gods, the main god of Greek mythology, the omniscient and omnipotent being God King Zeus. Everyone, 1,000 years have passed quickly since the last meeting. Let's start that meeting now. The meeting on the survival of mankind held by gods from all over the world. Then, to allow, will mankind continue to exist for another 1,000 years? Or will it be terminated? Gods, please give your opinions. God King Zeus looked at everyone and asked. Okay, let's end it. In my opinion, they have no intention of reflecting on this for 1,000 years, so just destroy them all. The person who spoke had purple skin, and there were also strange pattern tattoos, black hair, golden pupils, and what appears to be a third eye on his forehead. He is Shiva, the Indian god of destruction and creation. It is true as Lord Shiva said, in the past 1,000 years the world has become increasingly uglier. The ocean is full of garbage and oil, and the forests have disappeared. Living creatures are becoming extinct one after another. If you really want to say, human beings are the disaster that destroys all life on Earth. The person who spoke was a huge European girl with fair skin and golden hair. She was an extremely beautiful being. She is the goddess of beauty, Aphrodite. Because it is extremely beautiful, it even radiates light. Extremely bright and dazzling. As Aphrodite, who has a high reputation, the gods also fully agree with her. Aphrodite is right. Let humans become extinct. They are simply poisonous. I'm tired of guiding them. You're right. Gods, they all raised their crossed-out signs. It represents the agreement of all the gods on the demise of mankind. It seems that the conclusion has been reached. Then this meeting of the survival of mankind will unanimously give mankind an end. Seeing that Zeus has raised the hammer in his hand and hammered it down. Please wait. A voice spread throughout the audience. Zeus's hammer is only 0.01 centimeters away from the oak base to be struck. What's wrong? Who is that? Followed by the noisy voices of the gods. All eyes turned towards her. I saw a goddess with long black hair and white clothes coming, and her face was gradually recognized by the gods. Isn't that the Valkyrie? It's the Valkyrie. The gods who knew her spoke one after another. Sister, what are you doing? You actually shouted stop to the god's decision. The little girl with short purple hair and green eyes grabbed the clothes of the long black-haired goddess. The words were extremely urgent. And that goddess with long black hair is Brunhilde, the eldest sister of the 13 sisters of the Naofumi Valkyrie. Because she is half god and half human, she also has a very deep relationship with humans. The little girl with short purple hair is called Grey, the last sister of the 13 sisters of the Naofumi Valkyrie. Forgive me, but I have a proposal for the gods. Brunhilde's voice echoed throughout the audience. Stand back, Brunhilde. Stand back, Brunhilde. The gods shouted together. Grey was so frightened that tears welled up in her eyes. He clung to his sister Brunhilde. At this time, the highest god in Northern Europe, Odin. It was an old man with long black hair and an eye patch. On the left is a white crow and on the right is a black crow. You are just a demigod. White crow scolded angrily. Who allows you to interrupt the discussion of the gods? Want to fight? Come on. Before the Lord God takes action, we will be your opponents. The black crow roared angrily, waving its wings. An angry look. It is indeed impossible to ignore the tyranny of human beings. But simply destroying them is too boring. Brunhilde said calmly, with serious eyes. Oh? Chapter 196 Ragnarok. It is indeed impossible to ignore the tyranny of human beings. But simply destroying them is too boring. Brunhilde said calmly, with serious eyes. Oh? Zeus looked at Brunhilde with interest. How about this? In the next 1,000 years, is human beings worthy of survival? We might as well show the grace of the gods and test them at the same time. Brunhilde continued, and the white crow on Odin's left shoulder began to grow again. Test them? Are you going to flood the earth again? White crow asked. Or will we enter the ice age early and freeze them to death? Black crow asked. No, there is a more effective way. Brunhilde said suddenly. What? What is it? Hey, what does she want to do? Stop being so pretentious. What do you want to do? The voices of the gods were very noisy. The final struggle between the gods and humans. Ragnarok. Brunhilde said to the gods with cold eyes. The words just fell. All the gods became quiet. Fairy. Ragnarok. Grey was a little confused and looked at her sister in confusion. Suddenly a book appeared in Brunhilde's hand. Then looked through it casually. Item 15 of Article 62 of the Valhalla Constitution. A super special clause. A one-on-one match between gods and humans is a one-on-one battle. Brunhilde looked at the gods. The final battle between gods and humans is commonly known as Ragnarok. Representatives from the gods and humans competed 13 versus 13. The side with 7 wins first wins. The moment humanity accumulates 7 defeats, it is certain that it will all perish. On the contrary, if humans win, they will be allowed to live for another 1,000 years. However, this law has never been used since the birth of mankind, because it is absolutely impossible for humans to defeat God. In other words, this is an extra-legal provision. It was just said by the gods as a joke. I thought you were going to say something. As a Valkyrie, it's impossible for you not to know. The white crow on Odin began to scream again. Human beings are no match for gods. It's a waste of time to compete. The black crow on the other side of Odin also shouted. That's right. It can't even be called a game. Why do we have to be a human's opponents? Too stupid. The gods began to discuss again. So the gods want mankind to perish, and Do you want to avoid a direct confrontation with mankind? Brynhild's eyes were cold and her tone was very cold. What? The black and white crows were stunned by her words. You want to avoid fighting and directly eliminate humans? Don't want to stand on the same stage as humans? Could this be? I'm just guessing. Are you scared? Brunhilde's voice spread throughout the audience. The voice suddenly became heavier. Are you afraid? 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 The voice echoed throughout the hall. All the supernatural beings fell silent. Or rather, he didn't respond to what Brunhilde said. Everyone was stunned. Grey looked at her sister in surprise, almost stunned. Both eyes became oa-shaped. But Brunhilde pretended to be helpless and covered her forehead, saying with pity, if that's really the case, then I'm really nosy. Sister. Grey was a little stunned. Shouted. The child was frightened. Brunhilde looked regretful and continued. Please don't pay attention to what I just said. Just forget about Ragnarok. Stop it. Please don't say it anymore. Otherwise, before humanity is destroyed, my sister may be destroyed first. Sister, apologize quickly. Sister. Grey quickly grabbed Brynhild's arm, fearing that her sister keep talking. Tears were shed from fear. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, dot. The gods suddenly laughed. Huh? Aren't you angry? Grey was suddenly confused. Some didn't understand why the gods laughed. But some small voices can already tell the rage of the gods. Many gods have scratched the table, and the stone slabs on the ground have been trampled to pieces, grinning. Their smiles were infuriated by Brunhilde's words. Hiss. This scene frightened Grey again. Brunhilde smiled. Sure enough, gods are more easily angered than humans. She thought to herself. Ha 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 ha. Zeus suddenly laughed. And then continued. I see, Ragnarok. This suggestion is quite interesting. Thank you for bringing it up. It's very interesting. Everyone, what do you think? Do you want to see it after a long time? The thunderous wrath of the gods. The overwhelming violence. How is it? Everyone, let us gods and humans dash. Let's compete. Zeus shouted excitedly, waving his hand. He picked up the magic hammer and hammered down the base directly. Bang! The sound spread all around. All the gods shouted excitedly. And so, the final struggle of the gods against humans. Ragnarok was decided. Zeus looked at Brunhilde and said, Brunhilde, it's up to you to choose the representative of mankind. He pointed at Brunhilde and continued, you really want to help mankind, right? After all, you were reduced to a mortal body in the past. The tragic Valkyrie who was half god and half human, right? After saying that, Zeus grinned. Brunhilde and Grey bowed slightly. I will select the 13 strongest people from all humans. Brunhilde said, he, ha 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 ha. Zeus laughed. Maybe it was ridicule, or maybe it was excitement. Then, Brunhilde turned and left. Grey followed quickly. But Brunhilde's mouth showed an imperceptible smile. Group chat. Kanki Ken, what god actually intends to destroy humans? Can this guy be considered a god? Iwatani Naofumi, bastard. I'll just let my giant turtle kill him. That's right. More than 10 years ago, Naofumi Iwatani enslaved the spirit turtle. If only. Directly use the spirit turtle to kill these gods. Butterfly Ninja, it's really interesting. I also want to try how strong these gods are. Kongzan, it's really interesting. Chapter 197. Corpse King Long Yu vs Corpse Sweeping Trio. Brunhilde, in short, I have told you the general story. Brunhilde, do you really have the power to rival the gods? She did have doubts about this, but as for the humans inside, they were indeed humans that could not be found in the database. Kongzan, although they are called gods. That's really all. Kanki Ken, since Boss Kongzan said so, there is no problem. Let's take care of it. Butterfly Ninja, how powerful is the so-called god? Iwatani Naofumi. It makes people's blood boil. Red eyes, it's interesting, I want to try it too. Mikasa, I'll come. The gods who destroy mankind are so abominable. Brunhilde, we only have 13 places, so I don't worry about you. Brunhilde, is there a way to prove your strength? Kanki Ken, prove your strength? Is it still so troublesome? Baixiofai, brother Jinmu, how about proving your strength? Kanki Ken, hey, I have a headache. I don't know how to prove it. Iwatani Naofumi, it's okay. I recorded the battle between you and Ryu before. Naofumi Iwatani, video. Naofumi Iwatani, this should prove it. Kanki Ken, well, you are worthy of being Naofumi-san. Kanki Ken, such a far-sighted person. Brunhilde has downloaded the video. Kanki Ken has downloaded the video. Naofumi Iwatani has downloaded the video. Video is in a wasteland. Kanki Ken, Iwatani Naofumi, and Baixiofai met Long Yu. Kid, your body seems to contain a lot of power. Long Yu looked at Kanki Ken with a wide grin on his face. His pale body also had bulging muscles. There were many lines on his body and his hair was white and long. There are also blood-red characters on the forehead, which look like ancient characters. The whites of the eyes are black and the pupils are golden. Really? Kanki Ken touched his chin and looked at Long Yu. Baixiofai was hiding behind Jinmu Iron Frog. This time, we encountered a boss. Brother Jinmu, Can you beat him? Byakuya had sweat on his body. Long Yu's aura is still very strong for him. Oh ha ha. You are the Corpse King Ryu. I have already started recording. Ha ha ha. Let us kill you. Naofumi Iwatani put his hands on his hips. He laughed, his face full of confidence. You kid, you are so brave. Ryu suddenly appeared behind Iwatani Naofumi and stuck out his long tongue. He showed an evil smile, which almost reached his ears. Wah! Ryu's punch hit Naofumi Iwatani directly. The speed is extremely fast, and the punch wind is scattered in all directions. Iwatani Naofumi quickly raised his hand and opened his shield to block it. Shield cage. He shouted loudly. Several shields instantly formed a hollow sphere, and the iron chains sealed it inside. Iron Maiden. A huge human-shaped iron frame appeared, with countless conical spikes inside, and it was hollow inside. Bang! The iron frame instantly closed the spherical cage inside it. Conical spikes penetrated the cage. The blood flowed out directly along the spike. So, is it solved? Byakuya looked at it for a while. He poked his head out from behind Kanki Ken. Although he drank the genetic enhancement potion, it was still much worse than the Corpse King Long Yana. Eg. It's really awesome. A huge laugh came from the Iron Maidens. Bang, 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 bang. Suddenly, Iron Maiden's shell had many punch marks attacking from the inside. The force seems to be very huge. It looks like it's not over yet. The so-called Corpse King. If it's nothing more than this, it would be too boring. Iwatani Naofumi was also slightly excited. Frog fun. This can still survive? Byakuya was confused. Normal corpse brother would have been dead long ago. I can only say, is he worthy of being the Corpse King? Boom. The iron prison suddenly exploded. The Corpse King dragon sprang out from the right. You can actually break my Xuanwu armor. It's really amazing. I underestimated you too. He seemed a little embarrassed at the moment, but he stood on the ground, and his wounds healed at a terrifying speed. Huh? You underestimate us? That's not okay. Zombie King Long Yu, if you underestimate us, but you will suffer a loss. Kanki Ken showed a joking smile. And the Corpse King Long Yu didn't panic at all, as steady as an old dog. He raised his eyebrows and looked at the three of them, and finally looked at Byakuya behind Jin Muan. Oh, I've heard of you. Is your name Byakuya? It seems you came here because of a woman. You are really similar to your ancestors and his descendants, but they have become ants hiding behind others. Long Yu looked at Byakuya and sneered. PFFT. Ha 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 ha. Naofumi Iwatani couldn't help but hold his stomach and burst out laughing, tears streaming down his face. He couldn't control his tone and said tremblingly, Fly. Fly brother, you are actually looked down upon. Byakuya was numb. Your uncle, how come you still know my ancestors? He cursed. Then he also stepped forward, looking at Naofumi Iwatani who was laughing wildly on the side. Byakuya's forehead had veins popping out. Fuck you, then let me do it. Kick me first. Byakuya grinned. Shwa. A flying kick passed by. Long's right hand grabbed Byakuya's thigh. Not good. Byakuya said secretly. Bang! Long Yu threw Byakuya to the ground. The ground was hit and cracked. Stones shattered and splattered. Ahem! Byakuya's eyes widened. Blood spurted from its mouth. Ah, brother, you made a fool of yourself. Kanki Yan complained silently. Hey, stop watching, come and help. Byakuya shouted quickly. The corners of his mouth were filled with blood. Even after drinking the genetic enhancement potion, the gap between him and Long Yu is still huge. If the average person receives this blow, I fainted directly. Byakuya only vomited some blood, but his consciousness was still very clear, which was already pretty good. There's really nothing we can do. Then let me help you. Kanki Ken grinned slightly, instantly appeared in front of Long Yu. Long Yu's pupils shrank sharply. So fast, he thought to himself. Immediately afterwards, bang, boom. A loud noise. This punch seemed to tear apart the space. Extremely terrifying. Long Yu flew out directly. Bang, bang, bang. His body crashed directly through several tall buildings. Big holes were smashed into the walls. A few seconds passed. The sound just stopped. Brother, are you okay? Chapter 198. Naofumi Iwatani loses credibility. Brother, are you okay? Jin Muan stretched out his hand, pulled Byakuya up. Huh. Thank you, brother Jinmu. Byakuya breathed. Thanks to the genetic enhancement potion, these injuries were nothing to him. Although he bled a little, his recovery ability was not bad at the moment. Nothing. Kanki shook his head lightly. Brother, you still need to practice. Naofumi Iwatani smiled and put his hand on his. TCH. Brother Shangwin, you are so close and you don't want to save me? Byakuya curled his lips and complained. Ha. Actually, I am the shield. It's the same as letting brother Kanki do the output. Naofumi scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. He actually just wanted to watch a show. Anyway, he was sure not to let Byakuya die. TCH. Byakuya looked at Naofumi Iwatani with contempt. Ahaha. Iwatani Naofumi glanced to the other side. He looked guilty. After all, he was really too lazy to take action. Okay, Stop bickering. Go and see if that guy is dead. Kanki looked at the two of them and raised his forehead. It was now his turn to lead the entire team. Yeah, let's go. Baekhyovai also nodded with serious eyes. Then he looked behind the smoky wall. Brother Naofumi, please be in front. Kanki Ken looked at Naofumi and spoke. After all, he is a human shield, so it is normal to be in the front. What if I get a C-cut? Okay, I'll take care of it. Brother Kanki, you are becoming more and more like the boss. Haha. Looking at Kanki Ken's leadership ability, Iwatani Naofumi couldn't help but joke as he walked forward. Ha ha ha, no way, I'm still far from the boss. Kanki Ken shook his head lightly. The three of them were Naofumi Iwatani, Ken Kanki, and Baekhyovai. The queue slowly moves forward in order. The smoke slowly dispersed. Not a moment. The three of them walked to the end. But when we got to the front, we only saw a huge pit. But the pit was empty. No one? Iwatani Naofumi frowned. Strange, where did that guy go? Kanki Yan touched his chin slightly. Frog. Couldn't it be Brother Jinmu's blow that killed him completely? Baekhyovai was also confused and said, after all, Kanki Ken's attack was really strong. That's why he guessed. No. He has very strong resilience. It shouldn't have died so easily. Kanki Ken shook his head. His eyes were slightly serious and his brows were furrowed. He began to think deeply. Suddenly, he seemed to feel a breath. No, he's still nearby. Be careful. Kanki Yan suddenly shouted with his eyes wide open. Ha! It's too late. Long Yu suddenly appeared next to Baekhyovai. Grab his neck with one hand. What a terrifying power. At this time, a chameleon appeared on the right side of the dragon. Very strange. He seemed to be relying on the chameleon to hide his figure just now. But it seemed like he couldn't hide his aura. Hey, this is so damn sinister. Baekhyovai felt the force on his neck, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. TSK. Jin Muian scratched his head, and then continued, I didn't expect that I was careless. As soon as he sensed the other person's aura, Baekhyovai was caught. Really, among them, Baekhyovai is the weakest. Long Yu naturally wanted to attack Baekhyovai. Jig. He should be very important to you. How about making a deal? Long Yu laughed. Huh? Deal? What do you have? Naofumi Iwatani was about to say, what qualifications do you have to make a deal with us? But he was interrupted by Kanki Ken. Interesting. Tell me about it. Kanki Ken looked at Long Yu. He asked calmly. As you can see, I can strangle him to death with just a pinch now. I will turn you all into corpse brothers in exchange for his life. How? Long Yu looked at the two poles. Naturally, I feel extremely happy about the good corpse brother material. With such a powerful force, how powerful would it be to become brother corpse? He couldn't even imagine it. Baekhyovai, who was in front of him, went numb. I'm going to make myself a corpse brother? Then you should kill me. Baekhyovai complained. Anyway, the group leader will just resurrect himself when the time comes. Oh? Kanki Ken raised his eyebrows, and then continued to ask, then how can you be so sure that we will protect him? Naofumi Iwatani seemed to understand, and suddenly laughed. That's right, brother. Do you think this rookie can be of any help to us? Good guy. Long you can't handle this wave. Yes, just kill me. Baekhyovai pinched his nose, then flicked it casually. Wah, it just hit Long's right eye. You bastard. Long Yu was numb. His right eye was filled with buja. But isn't this opportunity a good opportunity? Kanki Ken instantly stretched out his finger. Kaigong wave. A wave of Kaigong flew away. Whoosh. Very quickly, bang, the Kaigong exploded directly into Long Yu's face. Forget about the eyes. Half of his face was blown away. What? This immediately stunned Long Yu. I have no idea what that was just now. It's so fast. Bang. Iwatani Naofumi raised his shield and hit Ryu. The other hand pulled Baekhyovai out. Long Yu was hit again dozens of meters away. Ha. Scared me to death. Brother Naofumi, you really love me. Baekhyovai directly hugged Naofumi Iwatani's thigh. After all, although they know that they will be revived even if they die, no one wants to experience the feeling of death. So scary. Go, go, go. It's really, the snot is all on me. Naofumi Iwatani cursed and pushed Baekhyovai away. At this moment, Kanki Ken rushed directly towards the corpse King Ryu who was dozens of meters away. It's really amazing. What a powerful energy. Long Yu stood up. Half of the face has been gradually repaired. But the next second, shwa, a wave of energy directly chopped off his head. Long Yu's eyes widened. Separation of head and body. His body, which he had just stood up, fell to his knees. Unexpectedly, these were the last two words his head said. Immediately afterwards, his head and body shrank rapidly. High speed. Almost 5 seconds passed. Basically his body was completely shrunken. The energy wave just now was naturally released by Kanki Ken. Just like that, Long Yu was easily defeated. All of these. At this time, Jin Muian felt a little unreal. After all, according to what Kong Zan said, since the opponent can withstand nuclear bombs, he shouldn't die so easily, right? Video ends. Brunhilde, at Kankiken you are very strong, you can give it a try. Kankiken, well. It's not impossible. Although he has not yet completed his mission. Complete, but if you spend some points, you can still go to other worlds. In the group chat system, as long as you have enough points, you can basically do anything. Baekhyovai, no, Brother Kanki, if you're not here, it will be me and Brother Naofumi. I'm a little panicked. Naofumi Iwatani. What do you mean? Byaxiofai, Brother Shangwin, although you are also very strong, I'm afraid what should I do if Longyu is not dead? Chapter 199 Gods and Humans. Byaxiofai, Brother Shangwin, although you are also very strong, I'm afraid what should I do if Longyu is not dead? Iwatani Naofumi. Huh? Do you think I can't beat Longyu? Iwatani Naofumi. Okay, I just wanted to be lazy, but I didn't expect you to look at me like this. Iwatani Naofumi. Brother Kanki, don't worry. I just want to protect this little brother. Naofumi Iwatani. If it's best for that corpse king to be alive, let him see that I, Naofumi Iwatani, am not unworthy of my reputation. Iwatani Naofumi. I am the strongest hero. Shield hero. Kanki Ken. I think it works. Byaxiofai, Zundu or fake do? At Iwatani Naofumi, I question your strength. Iwatani Naofumi. I haven't left your world yet. Did your kid hide in a convenience store? You'd better be careful when I find you. Iwatani Naofumi immediately became numb and began to curse in the group. Byaxiofai, ! You are a threat. How can you hurt group members? When the time comes, I will send other group members to rescue me. Naofumi Iwatani. Okay. Are you playing like this? What about the guard bug? Kanki Ken. 6. Butterfly Ninja. 6. Mikasa. 6. Kongzan. Group members are prohibited from hurting each other. Byaxiofai. Ha. Did Naofumi Iwatani hear what the boss said? Kongzan. It is also forbidden to provoke confrontation, otherwise you will bear the consequences yourself. Byaxiofai. Iwatani Naofumi. Do you bear it on your own? I think it works. Brother, let's meet and have a quick chat. Iwatani Naofumi. Don't worry, I won't beat you, I'll just nag you. Byaxiofai. Hiss. Byaxiofai. Man, you are a bit scary. I decided to stay outside for 2 days before going back. Naofumi Iwatani. Kongzan, come on, you guys can talk in private. Kongzan. At Brunhilde then you have 13 places. How many are you going to give us? Kongzan. Actually, I think just give us 7, because these 7 games will be over. Kongzan. There is no need to play 13 games. Brunhilde. Is the group leader actually so confident? Brunhilde came to her room. She sits on the sofa, watching the group chat with interest. The video can't show the full strength of Kanki Ken, but he is indeed very strong. A casual punch can have such power. Brunhilde touched her chin and thought, even if this kind of man is in the 7 million years of human history, there are very few. If it is a chat group in the heavens, then the guys in these groups should be humans from other worlds. This is not difficult to understand. When she joined this group chat, she felt weird at first, but then she gradually became pleasantly surprised. The humans in this world may not be strong enough to defeat the gods, but it didn't say that humans from other worlds cannot be allowed to fight. The only thing we have to worry about now, maybe it's the difference in combat power. Brunhilde touched her chin. After all, people in the group may not know how strong these gods are. Kongzan. Don't worry, there are quite a few of us who rule the planet. Kongzan. At Butterfly Ninja, at Mikasa, at Buzushima Seko, at Red Hitumi, at Akagi Saya, at Seiyu, at Kanki Ken. Kongzan. 7 places are enough. Put them at the front, and solve the battle casually. Kongzan sent it out casually. Kanki Ken. Oh ho, leave it to me. Butterfly Ninja. Easily. Mikasa. Since it's Brother Kongzan's order, let's try it. Bushima Seko. God. Interesting. Red Eyes. Brother Kongzan, please rest assured, no matter whether the opponent is a human or a god, we will defeat him. Saya Akagi. God. Interesting. So interesting. Let me see how powerful these gods are. At this time, Saya Akagi is not the same person she used to be. 18 years have passed since then, and now she is no worse than the so-called gods. Kongzan, to be honest, I really want to play. Kongzan, I really want those gods to know that your so-called gods are just ants to me. Kongzan grinned and laughed. Brunhilde, molecule.ant? Exclamation mark. Brunhilde, no, it's too much to say that the gods are ants. Brunhilde was immediately confused. The gods in the mouth of the group leader seemed to be worthless. Kongzan, of course, there are powerful gods, but it's not them. Kongzan, they are just gods in your world, and they cannot even go to the same world in your world. Kongzan, an existence of this level is really weak to me. Now Kongzan can go to the same world as One Piece, which is simply a parallel world, but Kongzan can guarantee it, which the gods absolutely cannot do, because they are natives of that world and are bound by rules. If there is no breakthrough from the outside world, it is almost impossible to obtain the ability to go to the same world. This ability is the power that Law only possesses. Brunhilde, is it really so powerful? The sweat left on Brunhilde's body at this time. To be honest, it was hard for her to imagine how could the other party be so powerful. But this is just what the other party says. She still couldn't believe it in her heart. Kongzan, forget it in short. Please rest assured. Kongzan, I will definitely come to such an interesting activity. Kongzan, let me see. How arrogant and self-righteous these gods are. Butterfly Ninja, will gods destroy humans? Where is this god? It's simply worse than a demon. Bushima Seko, if we had this kind of enemy in the past, we would have been helpless. Takagi sire, things are different now. If it looks like it was like before when it was difficult to fight a zombie, it will definitely be over. Kanki Ken, it's really interesting. Let me fight the strongest one. How? Red eyes, gods. If there are gods in the world, I only recognize Brother Kongzan, and he was the only one who saved the imperial capital. Red eyes, this guy who destroys the human race instead of saving people does not deserve to be called a god. Shay, I agree with this. How can such a guy deserve to be called a god? The only person in the world who can be called a god is Lord Kongzan. Sire Takagi, this group of gods is really baffling. Sire Takagi, if some human beings do not do well, just punish that part. Why should they all be destroyed? Mikasa, I always feel like maybe these gods don't have a good brain. Butterfly Ninja, ha ha ha. As expected of Mikasa, hit the nail on the head. Butterfly Ninja became happy offline. Really? These gods are the ones who make people feel that their brains are not working well. Chapter 200 Long U. It's really great, interesting. So interesting. You actually treat gods as the butt of jokes. These guys. Perhaps relying on these guys, we can really save mankind. Brunhilde was very excited and nervous inside. Asking for their help is tantamount to a gamble, and it still puts the lives of all mankind on the line. No. That's not right. Even if the humans of this world are allowed to participate in the war, there is no doubt that it is still a game. But letting humans from other worlds help will undoubtedly greatly increase the chance of winning the game. Maybe in another world, the statuses of humans and gods are interchangeable. Not necessarily. Gods who are so high above us are like ants among humans in other worlds, or maybe the group leader isn't human at all, but a higher god. And Kanki Ken in the video. The mysterious power, the terrifying energy emitted from the body. Brunhilde lowered her hand on her forehead slightly. The corners of the mouth are slightly curved. Interesting. It's really interesting. Comparing gods to be so weak. I really want to see their power. How strong they are. Ha 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 ha. Brunhilde was extremely excited. His expression gradually became ferocious. She had never seen a group of humans who didn't take the gods seriously. Normal people would even kneel down and worship when they heard the name of God, let alone seeing a human being. Group chat. Brunhilde, I understand. I will give you 7 places. Brunhilde, but this battle is related to the survival of mankind. Please use your full strength. Brunhilde, and more. Be sure to choose the 7 strongest people. Exclamation mark. Kongzan, haha. Don't worry. The strength of the 7 people just now is more than enough. Honestly, most of the guys in the group are not weak now, especially the elders. Black Tower, the god who destroys mankind. What unscrupulous guys. Black Tower, so how do they want to destroy mankind? Brunhilde, if the gods win, they may use natural disasters such as floods or huge tornadoes to destroy mankind. Black Tower, is that all? Question mark. Brunhilde, what do you mean? Exclamation mark. Isn't this enough? Black Tower, I said, these so-called gods can only use natural power. Is there no other power? Brunhilde, how is that possible? Brunhilde, the gods all have great power, whether it's physical body or ability. Black Tower, so to what extent? Brunhilde, take Thor, the god of thunder, as an example. Brunhilde, Thor, the god of thunder, is the god of thunder and power. He claims to have mastered the power of thunder and lightning, and can split mountains with one hammer. Brunhilde, the terrifying power of thunder and huge power are almost unmatched by anyone. Black Tower, so just break the mountain with one hammer? Black Tower, god, only to this extent? Brunhilde, question mark. Brunhilde won't be able to deal with it this time. What does this mean? Isn't this strong enough? Black Tower, no regular abilities? Some type of? Brunhilde, regularity. Black Tower, come on, you really don't understand feelings at all? Black Tower, if this is the case, in my opinion, you are just humans with extraordinary power. Black Tower, the so-called god should have more or less regular power in it. Just being the strongest in this kind of field can one be considered a god, right? Black Tower, thunder and power? No matter what, it's just the element of thunder and physical strength. Humans can have this kind of thing. Hita complained silently. Brunhilde, rules field? What is meant? At this time, Brunhilde was greatly shocked. After all, she seemed a bit confused. Regularity field? Unfamiliar vocabulary. Black Tower, for example, my destruction star god Nanook has terrifying power and can destroy a wide range of lives. His power is even more powerful and can even destroy planets and galaxies. Black Tower, it is rumored that Nanook is the incarnation of entropy. When the destruction destiny is strong to a certain extent, it is like the entropy in the universe increases to a certain extent, which will lead to the destruction of the universe. Brunhilde, destroy the universe? Exclamation mark. Can it actually reach this level? Brunhilde, star god. I have never heard of this kind of god. Brunhilde, the outer god is actually so powerful. Kongzan, well maybe in your eyes, humans are caged birds, but in the eyes of the outside world, you and humans are fighting between trapped beasts. Kongzan, Hita also talked about her god, and I can tell you clearly that the so-called god of destruction is not a very powerful star god in Miss Hita's world. Brunhilde, I understand, Brunhilde, maybe my vision is too limited. Brunhilde in the bedroom also relaxed and breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the gods in this world really don't have much respect. But that's okay. I really want to see the old man's use eyes popping out of his head. Brunhilde curled up the corners of her mouth and smiled. The world of Corpse Brother. In the pool of blood, there was a white-haired man. If Byaxiofai saw him, he would definitely recognize this person instantly. He is Zombie King Long Yu. Interesting. Those people killed my clones, and most of the zombie brothers have been eliminated recently. Their zombie tide has also been destroyed. This is not possible. If this continues, the plan will suffer. Yeah. Long Yu touched his chin, seeming to be thinking about something. The next second, shouted suddenly, "Black and white monk!" Instantly, one black and one white corpse brother appeared in front of Long Yu. "Kneel down directly." "What are your orders, sir?" The black and white monks shouted in unison. The black one is called Wu Chu and the white one is called Wu Sheng. They were all taken by Long Yu. These two corpse brothers are naturally the masterpieces of Long Yu. "Go and grab more humans. I need more corpse brothers," Long Yu said loudly. "I wonder what happened, sir." Seeing that Long Yu was slightly angry, Wu Chu asked cautiously. And Long Yu didn't hide it. He said it directly. "My clone seems to have been killed. Contact was lost when I sensed it today. During this period of time, I guess it was the three people who blocked the zombie tide. I didn't expect quakes here. Actually, there is such a strong person sitting in charge. You know, my clone also has Xuanwu armor. It can break my Xuanwu armor. I guess it's not ordinary people." Long Yu said so eloquently. "What?" The black and white monks were also shocked when they heard this. Unexpectedly, someone actually destroyed Long Yu's clone. They spoke quickly. "Sir, the two of us will go immediately to capture more humans. I wish your strength will be even greater."